That's enough. Tsunade ordered, standing between the two. The chakra covering them both disappeared. Naruto tilted his head in confusion while Guy spoke. Sorry Hokage-sama, I think we let ourselves be too youthful in this fight, using a technique that puts that much strength on your body in a simple spar. What were you thinking? Tsunade questioned. Gaiho just shook his head. I kinda overreacted after he went for my most youthful possessions. Tsunade's eyebrows twitched in annoyance, and besides, Naruto was a very youthful opponent. I had to be at me best to keep up. Tsunade sighed very well. Go find Shizune and have her fix whatever damage that technique has caused to your body this time. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Guy saluted and disappeared with a shunshin. And she almost spat the words as she turned to Naruto, how I was not paying attention to her at all. Instead Naruto was staring at Kurane while scratching the back of his head. Naruto turned to Tsunade and mumbled, did you say something? That chakra you used, what was that? Tsunade asked because she was not sure. It could be the Kyuubi's chakra, but that chakra never felt like that. Naruto chuckled. That was my hidden power that I can only use when you are watching me. Tsunade shook her head at his behavior. I want to talk about the other techniques you showed as well, but not here in front of all Theganins. Naruto nodded. How about tomorrow on our date? I'm sure we can talk about it then. Tsunade smiled. Good idea. She was about to let Naruto talk to his friends that had watched the fight when she snapped at him, and it's not a date. Hi. Naruto waved lazily back at her, walking towards Kurane. With the spectators just as the fight was stopped, Kiba had his jaw dropped to the ground as he stared at Naruto in disbelief. What the fuck? He muttered. Kiba knew that Naruto was a crazy strong swordsman, but him being this good with ninjutsu was news to him. This is how a fight between two high-level jounin looks like. Kakashi spoke in a bored tone, seeing that most of the other genins had the same reaction as Kiba. Some had different reactions, however. As expected from Naruto-sensei, see that Uchiha? She turned to Sasuke and flipped him off. You will always be beneath the Senju Shan. Sakura had decided that she wanted to become a swordsman in person like her sensei, starting with becoming a Senju herself. If Naruto could, why couldn't she? Tei could. Is strong as always, right Hanabi-chan? Midori spoke to her teammate. Hanabi nodded, watching Naruto with awe. He is the strongest. She boasted for a second before turning to Midori. That's Hanabi-sama to you. Commoner, don't be like that Hanabi-chan. Midori sweat dropped. Shikaku chuckled as he thought on how much Naruto resembled Minato. Troublesome. He muttered, which was followed by Shikamaru's own depressed mutter of troublesome. Shikamaru was thinking of when word would spread about Naruto becoming a jounin to his mother. She would not let him hear the end of it and make him try harder to go up in the ranks himself. That's to be expected of my boyfriend. Kurane spoke with tears in her eyes, staring at Naruto lovingly. He's my boyfriend, cunt. Teiwa was staring at Naruto the same way before she snapped at Kurane. In your dreams maybe, Teiwa-chan, Kurane spoke in a mocking tone. Hey. Ino yelled at the two, don't forget about me. Naruto loves me the most. Sasuke laughed, hearing every girl declare their love for Naruto. All the annoyances were soon gone from him. Now he could train to take down Itachi without interruptions. As he thought that a swarm of former classmates found the training grounds. Most of them female and a few males. Sasuke-kun. They squealed and run up to him with hearts for eyes. Damn it, poor Sasuke thought before taking off with his fangirls and boys following after him. Kiba frowned as he stared at Midori, who had started watching Naruto, who was heading towards them the same way Kurane and Teiwa did. He had trained hard this past year to impress his crush. His plan was to challenge Naruto to a fight and show Midori how strong he had become before he would confess his love. That plan would have to wait now. He had to up his training and hide his sister. When Naruto reached them, Jiraiya and Kushina had joined them as well. What the fuck are you doing here? Naruto asked Jiraiya, who's hind up, and smiled back at Naruto. Surprised to see me? Did you miss your godfather that much? Jiraiya laughed half-heartedly. God. Father? Naruto asked in an angry tone, more like dead man walking. Jiraiya yelled about Naruto not showing him respect he deserves for being the great gallant super pervert and best godfather ever. Naruto ignored him in favor of Kurane. Kurane-heim, it's time you and me have a real date. Kurane nodded with a happy look on her face. Of course it is. Naruto threw Kurane over his shoulder while the others stood frozen in shock. You're next, he nodded to Teiwa, who was red-faced in both anger and embarrassment. The Hell she is. Kurane bunked Naruto in the back of his head before Naruto disappeared with a yell of, "Stop hitting me, Baka Ana." Using a shunshin. After they had left, Kushina had started raging on about how wrong it was for Naruto to date Kurane. Luckily for Naruto and Kurane, Jiraiya was there to change the focus of her anger to him. "You owe me for this, brat," Jiraiya thought as he ran from a furious Kushina chasing him. All he had done was compliment her assets a little. After they left, only the Genins was left at the training grounds. 2 days later, the shinobi from the other villages has started arriving in Konoha. Naruto was currently on his patrol duty where he patrolled every part outside Konoha looking for anything out of order. His date with Kurane had gone well. Naruto had taken her out for dinner at a nice restaurant, then to a movie. After the movie they had walked around Konoha walking hands. They ended the date with a kiss before saying goodnight. At least that's how Naruto wants to remember it. After the movie, Naruto had told Kurane about his lunch with Mikoto and his plans to have multiple girlfriends. Kurane had left after slapping his face hard and yelled that he was a selfish bastard. His date with Tsunade was all business. Naruto had treated her to ramen at Ichiraku's where they had talked about his techniques such as the hydration. Tsunade had also given him a more detailed mission briefing. While Naruto sat on the village wall looking out into the forest surrounding Konoha, he felt someone approach him. He looked to his side to see a girl with short black hair who wore a headband with the IWA symbol. She stopped and glared at him. "You," she said almost in an accusing manner. Naruto responded in confusion. While Naruto sat on the village wall looking out into the forest surrounding Konoha, he felt someone approach him. He looked to his side to see a girl with short black hair who wore a headband with the IWA symbol. She stopped and glared at him. "You," she said almost in an accusing manner. Naruto responded in confusion. Talking thinking jutsu/Kurama. Talking chapter 54. How dare he? Kurotsuka thought as she stared at the son of the Yondaime Hokage, 4th Hokage, who in return looked at her like if she was some kind of idiot. Did he not know why she was here? What his evil father had done in the Great Third Ninja War? Namikaze Minato by himself was responsible for the death of thousands of IWA ninja during the Third Great Ninja War. One of them was Kurotsuka's uncle, who she never got to meet. Her grandfather Unaki and her father Kitsuki had told her to forget about the past so they could start over with Konoha with good relations between the villages. Kurotsuka disagreed with that. She wanted this spawn-off Yondaime Hokage to suffer. She hated him. "What do you want?" Naruto asked in a bored tone. "Can't you see I'm busy?" He was on a mission after all. This just made Kurotsuki even angrier. Just a few days ago this idiot had been the reason they only got a few hours of sleep the night they arrived in Konoha, as he wouldn't stop bothering them in his drunken state. "I want to kick your ass, you fucking asshole," Kurotsuka spat out towards. "I'm going to avenge all the IWA shinobi and my uncle that your evil father, the Yondaime Hokage, killed during the war." Kurotsuka did not expect Naruto to grin back at her, showing his teeth, then laughed heartily until he was out of breath. When Naruto stopped laughing, a very irritated Kurotsuki asked, "What's so damn funny?" Naruto raised an eyebrow in response. "Was I not supposed to laugh? What's so fucking funny about your dad killing thousands of Iwa ninja?" Kurotsuki yelled at him, red-faced from anger. Naruto waved his hands towards her with a chuckle. "Stop, you're making me blush." Kurotsuki had taken enough crap from this lowlife. Didn't he know who he was talking to? She was the granddaughter of the Tsuchikage. "That's it, I'm gonna kill you, you blonde bastard." Kurotsuki ran towards Naruto on top of the walls. Naruto held up his hands in a way to stop. Hey, he tried to calm her down. "Relax, man." Kurotushi had stopped running now in favor of giving Naruto 80th glare. "Man," she questioned. Naruto tried again. With a chuckle he corrected himself. "Relax boy, there is no need for us to fight." Even more red-faced than earlier, Kurotsuki yelled so loud Naruto thought his eardrums would explode. "I'm a girl, asshole." When Naruto recovered from the loud yell, his eyebrows was twitching in annoyance. Who was this person? Why was this person trying to deceive him? He had already figured out how to differentiate between a boy and a girl. Is that so? Naruto asked. He slowly walked up to Kurotsuki, who was just a meter away from him. He poked her in the chest with his index finger. He felt something soft and heard Kurotsuki release a quiet moan from her mouth. "Well, fuck me," Naruto said in almost a whisper. He was fully aware of the danger he was in. Naruto didn't think it was possible to yell louder than what Kurotsuka did earlier, but he was wrong. "You're dead, you damn pervert." She yelled from the top of her lungs, chasing after Naruto, who had done the smart thing, which was to run as fast he could. Kurotsuka was throwing kunai and shuriken at Naruto while chasing him. They were running around inside the village, and Naruto did not want any villager to get caught in the crossfire. This had Naruto run to a different location towards the nearest training grounds to avoid that. When they reached an open grassy field of the training grounds, which happened to be training grounds 10, the one where Guy and his team usually trained at, Naruto was wondering how he was gonna get the girl to stop attacking him. He had no intention of actually fighting her, since he nothing to gain from that. In fact, it would just make him look bad. A Konoha Jounin fighting against a foreign genin kunoichi. Yes, it would only spell trouble for him. Naruto recognized the training grounds, so he stopped and turned around to face Kurotsuka. He could not go any further into the training grounds and risk running into Guy and his freak show. Kurotsuka smirked at him and said, "Not gonna run anymore." Naruto chuckled. He had already formed a plan to get her to leave him alone. "Excuse me, miss, would you mind?" Naruto stopped talking as his whole body shivered due to someone else showing up in front of him. "Naruto, I dare you to finish that sentence." It was Kurane standing in front of him with her arms folded under her chest. With a twitching eyebrow, Naruto asked, "What do you want, Anna?" Kurane glared at him, which had Naruto start sweating. "I mean, what can I help you with, Kurane-hime? I have asked Tsunade-sama to borrow you for a few hours." Kurane began. "While you help me, Kakashi will take your place on your patrol duty." "Patrol duty?" Naruto almost yelled. "It's a very important mission that only I can do. That good-for-nothing Uchiha will only mess things up." Kurotsuka stomped over to get in between Kurane and Naruto. With a glare she yelled, "Don't forget about me, you bastard." Kurane frowned and motioned towards Kurotsuka. "Who is this?" she said in an almost accusing tone. Naruto shrugged. "I don't know." They were doing it again. Ignoring her with a tch, she formed a hand sign for a jutsu. "Take this." She yelled but stopped when Kurane turned towards her with a mean look on her face. "You." She snapped at Kurotsuka, who responded with a quiet and nervous yes. "What business do you have with my man?" Kurane was tired of every single female going after Naruto. She had decided that she wasn't going to let it happen anymore. She would chase them away with a stick if she had to. "I'm gonna key." Kurotsuka started but stopped when she saw a dark aura surrounding Kurane. "Kiss." Kurane muttered, "Get lost before I hurt you, you little bitch." Kurotsuka backed off slowly. She had meant to say that she was going to kick Naruto's ass, but she felt no need to explain that. Sure, just wanted to get as far away from Kurane as possible. "You're lucky your woman is here to save you. I'll get you next time." With that, Kurotsuka disappeared in a shunshin. Naruto laughed at someone else having to experience the evil that was Kurane. "What's so funny?" Kurane asked. Naruto fake coughed into his hand. "Nothing. What do you need me for?" "I need your help to move my stuff out of my apartment," Kurane explained. Naruto nodded to that. He was expecting something far worse. "You're moving?" he asked. "Yes," Kurane said simply. Then she smiled cutely at Naruto. "I'm moving in with you." Time seemed to stop after Kurane said that. This was like a scene taken from one of his recurring nightmares. Naruto thought on what to do next. Should he run? Or should he fight her? No matter what, he could not allow this to happen. Of course you are, Naruto said with a bright smile. "Let's get going then." It was no point in fighting it. Just let it happen. As Naruto and Kurane started walking towards her apartment, Naruto heard Kurama make whipping sounds and laugh at him. "Shut it, you." Naruto snarled at him. 20 minutes later, Kushina was training Teiwa outside in their large backyard. The chuunin exams was to begin in 3 days, so Kushina wanted Teiwa to be fully prepared this time. Since Teiwa was a student of Kushina along with 2 of the 3 chuunin, failure was not an option. Kushina had Teiwa try to meditate so she could try to communicate with the 3 tails, which she had not had much luck with before. So it was calm and quiet until she heard a lot of sounds coming from their house. She heard the sound of glass breaking, making her think that maybe someone was foolish enough to try breaking into her house. "Teiwa," she spoke loudly as she shook her student to get her to turn from her mindscape. "What is it?" A confused Teiwaya asked, but before Kushina could answer, Teiwaya as well heard the sounds coming from their house. It sounded like two people were arguing. I think someone is trying to break into our house, Kushina explained. What? Teiwaya yelled, let's show them why it's a bad idea to mess with ninjas. Kushina could just nod to that as they ran back to their house. When they arrived, they were quite surprised to see 20 Naruto clones carrying cardboard boxes and bags into his room. Standing outside his room was Kurane, who seemed to be instructing them. You didn't have to break the window, we could just enter by the front door, Kurane told the real Naruto, who was inside his room unpacking all of Kurane's stuff. Stop complaining, Naruto whined, we got inside, didn't we? Naruto, Kurane, what's going on? Kushina asked while Kurane and Naruto turned to her and Teiwaya as if just noticing they were here. Oh, hello mother, Teiwaya, Naruto said in a bored tone, I'm just carrying Kurane's stuff to my room. Kurane nodded, we are going to live together from now on. What? Teiwaya yelled as she turned to Kushina, no fucking way, right Kushina? Of course not. Kushina roared, why the hell didn't you ask me about this? This is my house, she demanded. Kaasama. Kurane sulked while Naruto frowned at them. Don't give me that, Kushina shouted at Kurane, I have never liked your and Naruto's relationship, and there is no way in hell I'm going to allow you two live together under my roof. Teiwaya laughed, serves you right, you bitch. It might sound ruder than it was just how Teiwaya expressed herself. Naruto, Kurane pleaded, waiting for him to say something. With a sigh, Naruto stopped unpacking her stuff. What's the problem? Naruto stood, then walked next to Kurane. He pointed at her with his thumb and asked, why don't you want the Ana to live here? Shithead. Why are you with her at all? I thought you and me were together since we did. Teiwaya began before she stopped due to embarrassed. Red-faced, she finished her sentence, you know, we made out. She spurted out. Kurane turned to Teiwaya with a glare while Kushina stared at her in shock. Kushina had always thought Naruto and Teiwaya had more of a brother-sister relationship, if anything. Don't tell me you like him as well. Kushina asked. Teiwaya raised an eyebrow in response, it's not like it's a fucking secret. Nichin, what the hell, Tabane? Kushina shouted comically, is there a single girl in Konoha that doesn't have the hots for you, Naruto? The only reason she was this upset was because it meant more competition for her, but the others didn't have to know that. Naruto shrugged, causing Kurane to giggle at his careless attitude. Anyway, Naruto spoke, if you don't want Kurane to live here, then I guess I will just have to move in with her. Kurane nodded, it's a shame, I was looking forward to us living together. Kaasama. Naruto then turned to the frowning Teiwaya and Teiwaya, just because I'm with Kurane doesn't mean I can't be with you as well. He turned back to Kurane with a wide smile, isn't that right, Kurane? Kurane clenched her right hand into a fist and gritted her teeth as he answered, right. Are you saying you want to date us at the same time? Teiwaya asked, and by the look she gave Naruto, he knew that if he answered wrong, he would be in pain. Nevertheless, there was only one answer for her question, yeah, but don't forget about Ino-chan, Anko-chan, Yojeo-chan. Naruto had to duck to dodge the fist that Teiwaya had tried to slam into his face. Naruto jumped back to create some distance between him and Teiwaya. He had expected her to react similar to how Kurane reacted when he told her, calm down Teiwaya, Kushina said as she grabbed Teiwaya's shoulder to drag her back with her. To decide if Kurane can live with us, there is only one thing we can do. Teiwaya's eyes widened. No. Please, not that, she pleaded. It was the most boring thing she had ever experienced. What are we doing? Kurane asked Naruto in confusion. Naruto shrugged. He had been doing that a lot lately. Don't look at me. It was time for the Uzumaki clan to have a clan meeting with all of its members present. The members of the Uzumaki clan and one guest was seated around a large rectangular table. The clan meeting was held in the Uzumaki's dining room. Kushina, who sat at the center of the table, started the meeting. Uzumaki. Teiwaya, she read from a paper. Teiwaya, who sat to Kushina's right, eyebrows twitched. Do I have a to? She whined, but only got a glare as answer from Kushina. Present. Teiwaya said in almost a whisper. Uzumaki. Naruto, that's Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, also known as Senju to you women. Naruto sat at Kushina left, responded. Kushina gave him the same glare she gave Teiwaya earlier, causing Naruto to sweat drop. Present. Honorary Clan member, Tsunade Senju present. Tsunade sat across the table right in front of Kushina. She had sent a shadow clone to partake in the clan meeting. And our guest, Yui Kurane present, Konoha-sama. She said cheerfully. Just present is enough, to Bane. Kushina snapped back at the reed-eat woman who to no one's surprise sat next to Naruto. Forgive me, Konoha-sama. Before Kushina could tell Kurane to not call her that, a slightly irritated Tsunade raised her voice and spoke. Get on with it already, you know I hate these kind of things, right? Let's start with the less important matters before we move on with the reason I called this meeting, Kushina said, making Teiwa want to hit her head on the table. We'll start with a personal matter, Kushina continued. For a while now some of my newly bought panties has gone missing. I believe that we have a panty thief on the loose. Kurane and Tsunade turned to Naruto and glared at him. Pervert, they accused while Teiwa was staring down at the table. Me. Naruto pointed to himself in confusion. I'm not interested in taking any of your panties unless I'm removing them directly from your body. Databia, Naruto grinned as she finished talking. Before more shouts of pervert could be aimed at Naruto, Kushina came to his defense. This started before Naruto got back. I'm sure that it's not him, it's me, Teiwa admitted in almost a whisper. You? Kushina questioned why. Teiwa scowled. I grew out of my old ones and I fucking hate shopping. I'm just borrowing them. You can have them back. You should have told me. I would have taken you shopping, Kushina said with a kind smile aimed towards Teiwa who frowned. I told you I fucking hate shopping. She yelled. Kushina sweat dropped. Well, that matter is settled. That's all I had for today's meeting. Is there anyone else that wants to add something? She got no response for a few seconds until Teiwa was about to raise her hand but changed her mind. Kushina, who noticed that Teiwa wanted to say something but changed her mind, asked, what's on your mind, Teiwa-chan? It's nothing. It's just, Teiwa's cheeks gained a red tint. She then spurted out in almost a yell. I don't think the shithead should walk around naked in the house anymore. What? Kurane said dangerously to Naruto while Tsunade rice-eat an eyebrow naked. She questioned. So it begins, Naruto said dramatically as he folded his arms above his chest. Naruto had been warned by Itama not to surround himself by too many bossy women. Never let yourself be pushed around, Wast had Itama used to say. It happened one time when I didn't know you two were around, Naruto defended himself. So you walk around naked as well, you little pervert? Tsunade asked with disgust. I say we hang him. The others ignored Tsunade's suggestion. Kurane dragged Naruto by his ear. You are not allowed to show yourself naked to anyone but me from now on. Got that? Kushina stood up and waved her hands in front of the table. Calm down all of you. She waited for everyone to focus on her before she continued. This is not a serious matter and has no place in an Uzumaki clan meeting. Teiwa stood up and pointed at Kushina accusingly. But your panty problems are. Kushina chuckled at that. They cost me a lot of money. Teiwa lowered her head in shame. Oh, I'm sorry, I will pay for them. Kushina patted Teiwa on the back with a smile. There is no need for that. She then turned her focus back to Naruto. You do whatever you feel is right, Naruto. Naruto nodded to that. He knew that she meant both Naruto and Kushina enjoyed seeing the other naked. The other were confused by what Kushina meant with that but choose not to question it. Kushina then decided to move on to the important part of the meeting. Okay, now on to the main reason I called this meeting. Kurane and Naruto have requested to have Kurane move in with us. They decided to settle the matter by voting. Teiwa was quick to say she wouldn't want Kurane anywhere near where she sleeps. Tsunade was wondering how this situation had happened. Kurane had earlier requested her permission to get Naruto's help with an emergency and now she finds out that Kurane is in need of a home. Just what happened to her Jounin? It was Tsunade's turn to vote after Teiwa's obvious no. Tsunade folded her hands under her chin and thought, I don't see why not. You have plenty of empty rooms in this big house and if Kurane needs a place to stay then we should take her in. Kushina tilted her head at that. I don't think you understand the situation. Auntie, don't call me that. Tsunade snapped before calming herself. What is it I don't understand? It's not like she has been thrown out of her home or anything. Shinli wants to move in with us because she wants to live with Naruto, Kushina explained as she stared at Kurane who decided this was the perfect timing to hug Naruto's arm to herself. Tsunade saw it and it caused her eyes to widen in surprise. Oh! Tsunade exclaimed in a bored tone. She wasn't surprised, but she was a little disappointed. She had thought that Kurane was one of her very few normal chuunins, but after today she would have to evaluate that thought. Would Kurane moving in with you make you happy, Naruto? Tsunade asked Naruto, who nodded in response. Tsunade folded her arms under her chest. Then I'm against it. She wouldn't allow anything that would make the little pervert happy. Teiwa laughed in victory. Then it's settled. It's 3 against 1. Kushina shook her head. That's true, but there is still the problem of Naruto moving out if we don't let Kurane live here. She turned to Naruto and added, do you have anything to say? Naruto nodded before standing up. He bowed half-heartedly before speaking. Honorable Uzumaki clan members. Naruto paused due to the others having different inaudible reactions to the way he spoke. Tsunade snorted while staring at any place that wasn't Naruto. Teiwa laughed, finding it hilarious seeing Naruto this way. Kurane was holding up her hand trying to stop Naruto, thinking he was making fun of the seriousness of the clan meeting. Kushina stared at them with a calculating look on her face. One wrong word and Shuo old take action. I understand why you wouldn't want this she-devil in your home. Kurane kicked his feet under the table, but Naruto ignored it. But before you make your decision, you need to know what Kurane has to offer by living with us, what she has to offer. Kushina repeated, sounding a bit curious. Yes, Naruto said with a nod. She asked to move in with me last year. I refused it obviously, Naruto explained while Kurane hit him lightly on his arm. She did offer to wash my clothes, do the dishes and help out with anything else around the home. Naruto then turned to Kushina dramatically, his face really close to hers. Doesn't that sound nice, Dadabia? Teiwa snorted, as if that's going to change our minds. Just as Teiwa finished speaking, Kushina had walked over to Kurane's seat and hugged her. Welcome to the family. Ne-chan. Teiwa shouted comically with her jaw dropping while Tsunade shook her head at the antics of her family. I wasn't done. She has more to offer, Naruto said with a frown. She has nice long sexy legs, big round boobs, a firm but also soft. Naruto stopped as he sensed the incoming danger that was his family company. He let them assault his face this time since he was happy and contented. His first woman was now living with him. No, we just had to get the rest. Before they ended the meeting they were in for another surprise. I think me and Shizune should move in with you as well so we can help you out. Tsunade began, causing the others' eyes to widen in surprise except for Naruto, who weakly gave a thumbs up in approval. Tsunade explained her reasons for moving in, which was helping Kushina take care of the home. She would be closer to her student Teiwa, she could raid Naruto's sake storage. And most importantly, make sure that no funny business goes on within this house. Naruto is still just a boy. She finished with different thoughts and feelings on how the meeting went. They returned to what they were doing before the meeting. Naruto and Kurane had to move her stuff into one of the empty rooms. Kushina and Teiwa returned to their backyard for more training while Tsunade's clone dispelled, returning the memories to the original. Later that evening Kurane had been settled into her new room that was on the second floor with the others. Also Tsunade and Shizune had received a room each as they had moved in the same evening. Shizune, after a long day at the Hokage's office, had fallen asleep early. Tsunade had disappeared somewhere, probably back in her old house drinking and here lonesome. Kushina could be seen standing outside the door to Naruto's room wearing only a bathrobe. She was standing guard to keep Kurane but also Teiwa, who she had found out had on several occasions shared a bed with Naruto, out of his room. The reason she was dressed in only a bathrobe was because she had just showered. She also had a plan for Naruto when the others had fallen asleep, a plan where she enters the room and removes the bathrobe, then makes one of her erotic dreams become reality. She had been standing here for 20 minutes already, and during that time she had seen Kurane peek out of her room 10 times already. Kurane was of course waiting for Kushina to leave so she could sneak into Naruto's room. A sleepy Teiwa had attempted to just walk past Kushina into Naruto's room only to be dragged back to her room. It was an hour later when Kushina decided to act on her plan. Kurane had not peeked out of her room for over 30 minutes, which meant she had either fallen asleep or given up. Kushina opened the door and let her bathrobe fall to the ground as she grinned towards the bed where she saw Tsunade. Kushina shouted loudly, seeing the back of a clothed Tsunade straddle a shirtless Naruto's waist. Tsunade turned around and slurred, "What?" She then narrowed her eyes at Kushina. "Why are you naked? What are you doing in bed with my son?" Kushina countered. With gritted teeth Tsunade answered, "The little pervert used Hiraishin to bring me into his room. Now he's not letting me go." Tsunade tried to make it look like the only reason she was straddling Naruto was because she planned on punching his face in until he let her go back to her room. Naruto grinned at his naked mother. "Hey mom," he said then. His grin quickly disappeared as Tsunade launched a chakra-covered punch straight into his face before standing up to face Kushina. "Again, why are you naked?" Kushina scratched the back of her head with a weak laugh. "Yeah, I dropped my bathrobe from the surprise of seeing you with him." She tried. Tsunade stared intently at Kushina. Kushina was all she said while Kushina answered yes. "Get out," she yelled, pointing at the door. Kushina grabbed her bathrobe before retreating to her own room, a bit ashamed of having been caught. But she was happy that it was Tsunade and no one else that caught her. At least she wouldn't judge her too much. With a shake of her head Tsunade closed Naruto's door before returning to the bed smiling at Naruto. "Now where were we?" she said before she threw her arms around Naruto and smashed her lips together with his lips. "When you play the game of Naruto, you win or you die." After the night that Kurane, Tsunade, and Shizune moved into the Uzumaki house, things returned to normal. Naruto had visited Sakurato, give her a few pointers and show her a few techniques to help prepare her for the chuunin exams. He had also made a visit to the Nara family so he could deal with the ghost problem they had. Shikaku, who was preparing Shikamaru for the chuunin exams, had let Naruto into their home. Shikaku and Shikamaru both were interested in finding out what Naruto had in store for Yoshino. Yoshino was in their kitchen cooking lunch for them when Naruto arrived. "Hey," Naruto greeted as he entered the kitchen. Yoshino turned around with a raised eyebrow. "Hello," she said, a bit unsure, wondering what he was doing here before she saw her husband and son behind him and figured he was with them. "Aren't you Kushina's boy, the one who made chuunin last year?" she asked. Naruto chuckled as he ignored the question. He walked towards her, shaking his head. "We can do this the hard way or the easy way." "What?" Yoshino had no idea what he meant, and neither did Shikaku and Shikamaru. Although Shikamaru was starting to get a bit worried. Yoshino's eyes widened in surprise as she felt Naruto's arms around her when he pulled her into a hug. Naruto then sat down with Yoshino following, still stuck in his embrace. Naruto then lifted her by her waist and threw her up on his shoulder. Her ass was now sticking up into the air just in front of Naruto's face, while Yoshino was able to stare at her husband and son behind them. Naruto then lightly tapped her bum with his hand, getting a yell from Yoshino. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" She received more and harder slaps to her ass as an answer. Meanwhile, Shikamaru had run from his home faster than he had ever ran before. He was sure that he would be blamed for this when it was over, since Naruto was his friend. Shikaku, too shocked to act, could just observe as Naruto spanking his wife with his jaw dropped, unable to form any words. "Shikaku, stop him!" Yoshino yelled even louder as she squirmed in Naruto's grip. Naruto slapped her 3 times more, each time harder, and by now Yoshino was quiet. The next time Naruto slapped her, she had completely stopped struggling and it sounded like she was enjoying it. As Naruto kept spanking Yoshino, she moaned between saying, "Shikaku-kun, is this your way of saying you want a threesome?" "Unsure." Shikaku responded, "Would you want that?" "Bye." Now Naruto put Yoshino down, letting her sit in front of him. Yoshino was red-faced from blushing due to the embarrassing situation she found herself in. She managed a weak nod. "If it's with this cutie, then I'm all for it." Naruto stood up. Ignoring the conversation between husband and wife, he made his way towards the door to the kitchen, where Shikaku stood with an expression of disbelief. "She's all yours. You can thank me later." And thank him he would. He had never seen Yoshino that horny before. Shikaku had a very pleasant afternoon with his wife after that. After taking care of his business with Sakura and Shikaku, or the Shikagai as Naruto would put it, Naruto returned to his post outside the village on patrol duty. He spent 2 more days outside the village until he was asked to visit the Hokage's office. Tsunade had also asked for Yojeo and Kushina so she could give all 3 of them a new mission. Kushina and Yojeo was to guard Tsunade for the remainder of the chuunin exams. Naruto's new mission was to guard the former Hokage, Hiruzen. All 3 of them would be dressed in their umbu outfits and of course wearing their masks. Kushina had a fox mask, Yojeo had her cat mask, and Naruto had his toad mask that he loved to wear. Before heading towards the Sarutobi clan compound where Hiruzen lived, Naruto wanted to give Tsunade a kiss. But he didn't have the balls to do that after what happened that night 3 days ago. A few minutes after Tsunade and Shizune had moved their stuff into their new rooms, Tsunade wanted to relax and enjoy a few cups of sake. That was when a shirtless Naruto appeared in a flash of yellow using Hiraishin, Flying Thunder God, to get to her room. Tsunade had been surprised at first, which had her almost strike him with a chakra enhanced punch, thinking it was an enemy. Once she recognized it was Naruto, she had asked, "Do you have all rooms in this house marked with those seals?" Referring to the Hiraishin seals. Naruto had shook his head before saying, "Let me show you." He then walked behind Tsunade and rubbed her lower back, just above her butt. That where had placed a seal that went visible, which wasnly a few moments after the seal had been used. The seal looked like a tattoo that is commonly referred to as tramp stamp. With visible annoyance judging from the vein that popped on her forehead, Tsunade asked, "What are you doing here?" Naruto smiled as he scratched the back of his head. Nervously he said, "I wanted to ask if you want to share a few drinks with me." Tsunade wouldn't say no to a drinking partner, but she was running low on sake. She pointed at her half-full sake bottle and said, "That's the last I got." Naruto chuckled, "Don't worry about that, I have plenty for the both of us." He then pulled Tsunade into a hug before using a hand sign which would let him teleport back to his room with the Hiraishin. For the next 40 minutes they spent drinking in silence. During this time Kushina was keep watching outside. Then out of nowhere Naruto had asked, "Wanna make out?" Tsunade had answered with a shrug before pushing Naruto down into a laying position so she could get on top of him. They made out with small sake breaks for about 10 minutes until they noticed the door opening. That was when a naked Kushina interrupted them. After Kushina left, or had been told to leave, they started making out again. This time however, Naruto wanted to Damari, and at first so did Tsunade. But when Naruto was about to remove her blue obi that held up her grey kimono-styled blouse, Tsunade had sobered and realized just what was about to happen. Tsunade pushed Naruto away from her, she then grabbing her green Haori to put it back on. "This was a mistake, Naruto." With a pout Naruto replied, "No it wasn't, it was fun to be for you maybe." She snapped, "We can't tell anyone about this and it can never happen again." Naruto chose not to answer to that as Tsunade left his room to return to her own. On her way back Tsunade feared what would happen if word got out to the public on what they had done. It would have made for quite the scandal in Konoha. The next day at breakfast before Tsunade had to leave to the Hokage's office, Naruto had suggested a repeat of last night. Tsunade had replied by kneeing him in his most private area, causing Naruto to whine out in pain for a long time before he had to leave to take care of some business, which was a visit to Sakura and the Nara family. Now, present time Naruto have just arrived at the Sarutobi clan compound. Since it was still early in the day on a normal weekday, Hiruzen was alone since Konoha was at the Ninja Academy. Hiruzen sat at his porch staring at a pond that had goldfishes swimming in it. Something Naruto noticed was that Hiruzen was wearing earphones, which Naruto was curious to find out why. Making his way over to Hiruzen, he took a knee and bowed to the former Hokage. "I am yours to command, Lord Monkey." Hiruzen removed one earplug and raised an eyebrow at his former ambassador, who was for some reason unknown to him back in his Sanbia. "What are you up to now, shitty brat?" he asked. "I was ordered by Tsunade to guard you for the remainder of chuunin exams," Naruto explained. "I see," Hiruzen replied in understanding. "Yes, I'm here so no bad guys can get you, old monkey." Naruto laughed. "We can't have a weak and useless old monkey like yourself go unguarded." Naruto's laughter had turned maniacal by now. "I may be old, but I reckon I can still kick your ass if I wanted to," Hiruzen responded in a calm tone, not affected by Naruto's attempts to piss him off. "What's with the where? I thought we decided you were done with that." "I don't know," Naruto shrugged. "Perhaps Tsunade thinks I'm a sexy wearing it." "I doubt that," Hiruzen responded quickly, making Naruto face fault. Hiruzen then spoke his mind on why Tsunade thought it would be good for Naruto to wear his outfit. "It's probably because you stand out too much in a crowd. If an enemy saw you they might attack you instead of me just because you're you calling me ugly or something?" Naruto asked with a twitching eyebrow. "Yeah. But that's not the reason," Hiruzen chuckled at Naruto's raging expression. "It's because of what you have accomplished. Most people have heard of at least one of your names by now. And there is also the fact that you look more and more like your father every time I see you." Hiruzen finished his rambling. "Really? Am I that famous?" Naruto asked, no longer angry at the earlier insults. Hiruzen waved him off lazily. "Nah." He began before grinning. "I'm just fucking with ya. It's a standard procedure. The Hokage guards are always wearing their outfit." Naruto's sweat dropped. "Then why did you ask?" "Just wanted a conversation," Hiruzen explained. Naruto snorted. You need to get yourself a hobby, old man. Hiruzen chuckled without answering. I already have a hobby. It's messing with you, you idiot, he thought. Naruto then thought Hiruzen would want to hear about the latest news. Kurane-chan has moved in with me, that's good and about time. Hiruzen answered with a nod. She's a skilled and reliable kunoichi who is a suitable wife for our future Hokage. Naruto then yelled at Hiruzen, I told you many times. Naruto yelled each word with long breaks in between. I would rather die than take the position of Hokage. It's not up for discussion, Naruto. You will be our next Hokage. Hiruzen was now standing in front of Naruto, who responded by hitting Hiruzen with a punch straight into the face. Hiruzen countered with a punch of his own, which started a full-on fist fight between he two. They didn't try to avoid any of the punches which they could normally easily dodge. It was a contest to prove who was the toughest between them. About 5 minutes later was when the both of them felt they hated Noof. With bruises all over their faces and bloody noses, they returned to sit at Hiruzen's porch. So, what's with the earphones, old man? Naruto asked as things returned to normal. Oh, these. Hiruzen held up his earphones. I'm listening to Ibuki's live report of the second part of the chuunin exams that just started. Naruto stood up and shook his head. Seriously, get yourself a hobby, old man. He then jumped high up in the air so he could land on the roof of Hiruzen's house. Just because he was guarding him didn't mean he had to talk to him. He would just protect the old monkey from the shadows. While Naruto hid on the rooftop, he had to listen to Hiruzen repeating the words of Ibuki from the earphones. Team 8 seems to be the first team to reach the tower. I don't care. An hour passed until next report. The only team from IWA has reached the tower in second place. I would have buried them beneath the earth where they belong. That's harsh. 5 hours later. Naruto, get ready to move. Team 7 with Teiwa, Sasuke and Sakura has been attacked by someone that is believed to be Orochimaru. Hiruzen said, throwing off his Hokage robe that he still wore over his regular battle gear. Naruto laughed like a madman. Senju, he whispered, grabbing his sword. With that, the former Hokage and newly promoted Jounin headed towards the Forest of Death. As Naruto and Hiruzen entered the Forest of Death, Hiruzen got another message from Ibuki through the earphones. His eyes widened when he heard it. We must move fast. Anko has gone after Orochimaru. Both Naruto and Hiruzen was well aware of Anko's history with her former teacher. Hiruzen knew that Anko would stop at nothing to beat Orochimaru even if she would go down with him. Anko-chan, you say? Naruto asked. Yes. Was all Hiruzen managed to say before Naruto disappeared in a yellow flash. With Orochimaru and Anko, Orochimaru had managed to do what he came for, which was to murk Sasuke with his cursed seal of heaven. While fighting Team 7, he had also managed to injure Haruno Sakura, who had proven to be far stronger than the information Orochimaru had on her would say. Sakura had surprised him and almost cut his head off as soon as he made his presence known. But being a Chunin, Orochimaru had more than one way to get out of such situations. He also had more than one way to deal with a sword-wielding genin. Orochimaru had used his own sword, Kusanagi, to give her an almost lethal wound. Luckily for Sakura, Teiwa was here to save her since she was now able to perform medical jutsu thanks to Tsunade's teachings. Teiwa was the one that had come out of the fight mostly unharmed. That was also thanks to her training with the strongest ninjas in Konoha. Now Teiwa had to look after her team, waiting for them to recover before they can move on to the tower. Teiwa was not proud of having come out of the fight relatively unharmed. Instead, she was ashamed of having failed to protect her teammates against a single opponent. When Anko found Orochimaru, he was trying to sink into a tree so he could rest after a heated battle against Team 7. Dressed in her usual tan trench coat, Anko stared down her former teacher. It's been a long time, Anko. Orochimaru greeted his former student with a tired voice. He had taken some damage from the fight with Team 7, as well, mostly thanks to Sasuke's fire techniques. As your former student who you have taught everything, Anko was met with senbon needles between her fingers in her right hand. I'm going to take you out, even if it costs me my life. You can't, Orochimaru stated while Anko moved as if she was throwing the needles. Orochimaru was faster to act as he used a technique to enlarge his snake tongue, sending it straight forward towards Anko with impressive speed. It would pierce through anything it hit. Anko dodged it by jumping up high in the air before landing on a tree, using Churka to stay stuck on it. Orochimaru's tongue was already on the move. It had found Anko as it circled around her right arm, which held the needles. Anko jumped down and prepared to use a technique of her own. Used her left arm to launch for snakes towards Orochimaru Senju Jashu, hidden shadow snake hands. Orochimaru, whose body was still stuck in the tree, made no attempt to dodge it. Anko used the snakes as a rope to pull Orochimaru out of the tree, then pull him towards the three behind her. She placed her hand arm above Orochimaru's right hand and stuck a kunai through both of their hands. This was to prevent Orochimaru from moving, but with a grin Anko said, "I got you." She used her right hand to intervene her fingers with his fingers on his left hand. She held up her index and little finger, which was a hand sign for the technique she was about to use. Orochimaru's eyes widened as he saw it. "That's Eliz." He began. "That's right." Anko smirked as she spoke. "You and I are going to die here." She closed her eyes and focused. "Ninpo, Soja Sosai no Jutsu, ninja art, twin snake sacrifice jutsu." Just as she was about to use the technique, she heard Orochimaru's mocking laughter, and it was not coming from the Orochimaru in front of her. With wide eyes, he realized she had captured a clone. "Are you trying to kill yourself?" an amused Orochimaru asked as he peered behind her. Anko turned around just to see Orochimaru remove the face mask that covered his real face. "That's a clone," Orochimaru stated what Anko had already realized. Anko shook as realization hit her. She was about to kill herself, only taking a clone with her. The clone dissolved into a mud, revealing that it was an Earth clone. Just when Anko thought it was over, she knew had no hope to win a fight against her former teacher without the element of surprise. I allow flash appeared from her lower back. Out came Naruto. "Hirai Shijiri." Flying Thunder God slash. Naruto roared as he poked the tip of his sword through Orochimaru's neck before Thesanin could react. "Yo-ho-ho." Naruto laughed in Orochimaru's face. "Yo-ho-ho. Curse you." Orochimaru spit out blood as he spoke. "Minato." Orochimaru then used the very same technique Anko had earlier to force Naruto away. Senju Jashu, hidden shadow snake hands. Now Orochimaru had enough time to create a new body of himself with one of the many forbidden techniques he knew of. Orochimaru Ryu no Kawarami no Jutsu, Orochimaru style body replacement technique. With a healthy new body, Orochimaru glared at the toad-masked Umbu who stood in front of Anko in a protective manner. "Who the hell are you?" Orochimaru asked as he had lost the cool he had earlier after that show from the masked blonde. Naruto grinned under his mask. He was just about to whisper his name when Hiruzen appeared next to them. He banked Naruto in the back of his head with a clenched fist, then said while panting, "Damn brat, you could have brought me with you. My shunshin is nowhere near as fast as yours." Orochimaru had no plans to stay and fight the blonde Umbu, and more importantly the former Hokage, who was also his former teacher. Bison King into the ground, he used a sunshin to quickly get out of there. "Hokage-sama," Anko said, surprised seeing him of all people here. Most people still called him Hokage-sama even though he had retired. While Naruto held up his right hand doing a hand sign, Hiruzen spoke to Anko. "Don't worry Anko, Orochimaru won't leave this forest alive. Me and the brat will see to that." When he finished his sentence, Naruto muttered, "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," as he created 50 or so clones that headed out in search of Orochimaru. "You can run but you cannot hide." The clones yelled in chorus before laughing loudly. "Yo-ho-ho." With Naruto and his clones disappearing towards all directions, only Hiruzen and Anko was left at the spot. "I won't let my student fight against that monster," Anko said as she stood up planning to go after them. "Anko, you will not be needed." Hiruzen's expression hardened. "It's time I show Orochimaru and everyone why I was chosen as the third Hokage." His chakra flared around him as he spoke. His chakra was so massive Anko was having trouble standing up as she fell down on the ground on her butt. "Head to the tower and assist Ibiki and the others," Hiruzen said before disappearing with speed that he had never shown before. Anko breathed out in relief as Hiruzen disappeared from her view. Where the hell did that old man hide all that chakra? She had never seen him like that before. She decided that she would listen to Hisurder's and head to the tower, even if she would have preferred to go after Naruto and make sure nothing happens to him. Meanwhile with Naruto had located Orochimaru in an open grass field within the forest. There stood Orochimaru next to two people that seemed to genin from Kusa, grass. Both of them were around his age, one of them a boy with black hair and glasses while the other was a red-headed girl wearing glasses. "Kabuto, I will need your help." Things did not go as planned, Orochimaru explained to his loyal subordinate who nodded, then removed the transformation. The boy turned into a full-grown man with rather long gray hair, also wearing glasses. His clothes consisted of purple pants and a purple shirt. Sense another one coming, his chakra is massive, Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto said, adjusting his glasses. The girl who stood next to them, whose name is Karen, stared at them in shock. Who are these people and where is her teammates? She wondered. She was also frightened due to her very good ability to sense at people's chakra. The pale snake-looking man's chakra was huge, as was the Konoha Anbu in front of them. But the most massive chakra of them all was from the person that just arrived. With a burst off, Kakura Hiruzen appeared next to Naruto with crossed arms above his chest. I won't share the snake bounty with you. It's all mine, Naruto said as soon as he arrived. Hiruzen snorted. I couldn't care less about that. What's important is that he dies. Orochimaru chuckled. How cold. Sarutobi-sensei. Kabuto adjusted his glasses again. If we're fighting against the third Hokage, I can understand why you need my help. Orochimaru shook his head. The old man is not the problem. I can deal with him myself. The problem is the young Anbu next to him. Before Kabuto could respond to that, Naruto had shouted, "Shut your mouth. You're just a snake bounty kukyuku." Orochimaru laughed. Well, if it isn't the bounty hunter Senju, he had figured out just who it was hiding behind the mask after that comment. His smile turned into a frown. I will make sure to repay you in kind for destroying my village. Enough talking, Hiruzen said, forming a series of seals. Naruto moved the girl out of the way. Hi. Naruto disappeared in a flash of yellow as Hiruzen prepared his technique. Next to him stood 4 clones, all of them looking as if something would blast out of their mouths any second. Goten. Darandan no Jutsu. 5 styles. Massive combo jutsu. Each clones used one of the 5 basic elements to combine it to a massive burst of elemental destruction. Orochimaru was ready to defend him and Kabuto with a jutsu of his own. Kukiyos. Senju Rashomon. Summoning technique triple Rashomon. 3 large gates was summoned to defend against the incoming wave of fire, water, lighting, wind, and earth coming their way. The gates were pushed back and almost destroyed, but the gates did their job. Orochimaru turned his head to Kabuto. Make sure we don't lose Karen. We can't let Konoha have another Uzumaki. Kabuto nodded. How should we deal with them? Naruto was no back next to Hiruzen in front of them as the gates before them had disappeared in a puff of smoke. If I had prepared sacrifices, I would have used that jutsu. Kabuto smirked at that. Don't worry, Orochimaru. I went out of my way and prepared sacrifices for us. While they prepared their jutsu, Naruto and Hiruzen were going over plans to fight Orochimaru and his partner. You get out of the way and I'll eliminate them both, Naruto said, sounding very irritated. We shall work together and make sure they don't leave this place alive, Hiruzen stated. Both of their heads snapped towards their enemies as they heard Kabuto say, Kukiyos, Edo Tensei, summoning technique reanimation. I don't like the look of that, Hiruzen said as 2 coffins was summoned in front of them. NGH. Naruto responded. Kukyuku. Orochimaru chuckled darkly. This is why I keep you around, Kabuto. You never seem to cease impressing me. Kabuto nodded. Thanks, Orochimaru-sama. Sarutobi-sensei, it's been a while since you saw your former sensei Shasanti. Orochimaru spoke with a wide smile. Hiruzen's eyes widened before he glared back at his former student. Don't tell me. The coffins opened slowly. Smoke covered them for a short while until 2 figures came out from them. Well, I'll be damned, Naruto recognized them instantly. Before them stood the deceased first and second Hokage, the Senju brothers Hashirama and Tobirama. Orochimaru and Kabuto stood behind the 2 reanimated Hokage. Tobirama and Hashirama glanced at each other. A heavy wind blew past them in the open grassy field area. You're as ugly as always, brother, was the first thing Hashirama said when he saw his brother. Shut it, you, Tobirama returned with a glare, crossing his arms above his chest. I told you this jutsu would bring nothing but trouble. You should have never invented it, Hashirama said in a scolding manner. Bit late to bring that up, don't you think? Tobirama countered. Hashirama chuckled. He loved teasing his younger brothers. Both Senju brothers then turned to stare at Hiruzen. Monkey-chan. Hashirama asked, unsure, seeing the aged Hokage, while Tobirama said Saru. Hiruzen started sweating a little. He knew Naruto would have a field day later with all the nicknames his former teachers had for him. It's been a long time, Hashirama-sensei. Tobirama-sensei, your old Hashirama stated the obvious. How many years has it been? Tobirama asked. Now was a good time as any for Naruto to introduce himself. He removed his toad mask and walked forward slowly. He took a knee as he bowed in front of the former Hokage. Naruto then said in a slow and very old-fashioned way, sounding like a samurai, "It's an honor to meet you, Hashirama Dano, Tobirama Dano." Tobirama raised an eyebrow at that, thinking, "Who is this kid?" Hashirama laughed loudly, "He's just like you, brother." He commented. That had Hiruzen chuckle. "He's similar to Tobirama in many ways. He has his hatred for the Uchiha." This had Hashirama frown while Tobirama nodded in approval towards Naruto, who grinned back at them. "I am nothing compared to the both of you, but I will live my life in the way of the Senju and make our clan great again. He's also a shameless womanizer like the both of you." Hiruzen added, which had Naruto sweat drop. Hashirama face faulted while thinking it was the fate of the Senju. Tobirama once again nodded in approval. It was a secret that most people of Konoha didn't know. That secret was that the former Hokages of Konoha were some of the biggest womanizers the land has ever seen. It was like a contest to them to decide who was the big shot Senju. It did go too far sometimes, as Tobirama would lay with Hashirama's wife, Uzumaki Mito, while he in return slept with one of Tobirama's many girlfriends. Luckily they never fought over the matter and just lived with it. They both knew better than to fight and cause the village trouble over such a trivial matter that was baka honest. While they both had their fair share of sleeping around with various kunoichi, they were still nowhere close to Naruto's sensei, Itama Senju. Itama Senju made it his life goal to party and sleep with as many women as he could during a lifetime. And Naruto was now walking in their footsteps. He is also a very skillful swordsman, something that he learned from your brother, Itama Senju, Hiruzen continued, which had both Hashirama and Tobirama stare at him in confusion. "Itama died long ago, Saru," Tobirama explained. "It's not possible," Hashirama nodded. "He died long before Konoha was formed." Naruto shook his head. "Itama faked his death so that he could get away from the ninja life and the war between the Senju and Uchiha clan." Tobirama turned to Hashirama. "It's not impossible. Itama was always a sneaky bastard." Hashirama frowned. "He was a crafty one, but I find it hard to believe that he would be able to fool us too and our father nevertheless." Hiruzen began. "Some years ago Naruto, who was raised in the village, was kidnapped by two of our foolish chuunin. He was left to die somewhere far away from the village where your thought to be dead brother found him and trained him in the way of Senju. The brothers found it hard to believe but decided not to question it further." "What's your name, kid?" Tobirama asked the still bowing Naruto. "Uzumaki." "Naruto," he said proudly. Hashirama's eyes widened. He had already figured out that Naruto was a Jinchuriki like his wife Mito was another Uzumaki Jinchuriki, and this one was trained by a Senju. He could also sense some chakra within Naruto that was similar to his own. If trained correctly, this kid could become a ninja even stronger than himself. "I like him," Tobirama stated. "He will bring further greatness to our clan." Hashirama nodded. "That is so." He then asked something he had been wondering for a while since he saw Hiruzen. "Who is the Hokage?" "You?" he asked Hiruzen, who shook his head. He smiled. Ash answered, "Your granddaughter and my former student, Tsunade Senju, is the fifth Hokage." "Yeah." Hashirama turned pale as he imagined his cute but also very troublesome granddaughter. She had taken up most of his bad habits, such as gambling. "Is the village okay?" he wondered, while Tobirama laughed heartily hearing that. Tobirama was also proud of his grandniece and happy that the village was led by another Senju. Hiruzen smiled. "Rest assured, the village is in safe hands. Tsunade-kun is known as the strongest kunoichi that Konoha has ever fostered." Kukyuka Orochimaru chuckled from behind them while holding two papers with seals on them. "Sorry to ruin your family reunion. It's time to do what I brought you here for." He placed the seals on the back of the two Senju brothers. This seal was made so that Orochimaru could more easily control them, and also to remove the personalities of the ones summoned with Edo Tensei. "Who are you?" Tobirama demanded. Both Orochimaru and Kabuto had not interested him and his brother until he spoke. "He's my former student who turned traitor. I will end his life today," Hiruzen said with a hard gaze directed at his former student. "No matter what time and age, there is always war," Hashirama stated sadly as the seal started to kick in. Soon they would be nothing but mindless zombies who could only following Orochimaru's orders. "Saru, young Senju, prepare yourselves," Tobirama warned, already feeling himself being controlled. Normally it wouldn't be easy for Orochimaru to control two shinobi of this level. But Orochimaru had yet to perfect the technique, so he could only summon them at closet 50% of their real strength. "This is bad," Naruto, Hiruzen spoke to his young ally. We have no choice but to fight my former teachers. Naruto nodded slowly. He was a bit taken by the situation, but at the same time he found it hard to hide his excitement. Still in the sitting position, he asked, "Do you have a plan?" We'll make this simple. I will keep Hashirama-sensei and Tobirama-sensei busy while you go for Orochimaru and Kabuto. Hopefully if you can defeat them, their control over the reanimated will stop. Sounds good, Naruto said as he stood up doing a one-handed hand sign. He was about to get out of the way as the second Hokage Tobirama prepared a jutsu. But Hiruzen was the first one to act. Kukiyos no jutsu. Summoning technique, he said as she slammed his hand down on the ground to summon the Monkey King Inma. Naruto stared at the two beside him and shook his head. He was confident the old monkey was going senile. Stupid monkey, that jutsu's called Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, he thought. I will enjoy watching as the former Hokage takes your life before weds Troy Konoha. Sarutobi-sensei, Orochimaru yelled, your precious village will be destroyed today. With that, Tobirama launched a huge spiral-luring vortex of water towards Naruto and Hiruzen. Sutin, Suishaha, water-style water shockwave. Naruto got out of the way by using Hiration. He had already left Ekonao near Orochimaru and Kabuto earlier when he got Karen out of the way. He had taken Karen to a safe place. She was now accompanying Tsunade in the Hokage's office. Naruto teleported next to Orochimaru and Kabuto as Hiruzen used an urge technique to defend against the incoming water wave. Doton. Doriyuki, Earth Release, Earth-style wall. A wall of clay stood in the way for the water, keeping it away from him, and in Naruto's way stood Hashirama, who also did a one-handed sign preparing a technique. Wood Release, Kunao Shadow Clone Technique, launching a single wooden kunao towards Naruto that multiplied into thousands as soon as it neared him. Naruto chose not to get out of the way. He would not be defeated by a little wood. Armed with his sword, he parried and blocked every kunao that would have hit him. Hiruzen had created a shadow clone armed with Inma that had transformed into a large adamantine staff. The clone quickly made its way over to Naruto and Hashirama to keep Hashirama busy. Go! Hiruzen ordered, which Naruto nodded to before using Hiration again to get close to Orochimaru. Naruto grabbed one of his special Hiration kunao and launched it towards Orochimaru. It multiplied into Thousansa the same way Hashirama's jutsu died earlier. Ninpo. Kunao Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Kunao Shadow Clone Technique. Naruto was not surprised to see that both Orochimaru and Kabuto easily managed to deal with the shuriken. But these kunaos served another purpose. Naruto prepared his next move with his sword in hand. He leaped towards the Sunin. Itaryu. Iai, Shishi Sunsen, one sword style, draw and ray sheath technique, Lion's Song, attempting to cut the snake-looking man in half with great strength. The sword had connected and managed to cut the target in half, only for Orochimaru to dissolve into mud as he used another earth clone. But now Naruto had them exactly where he wanted. Creating a single shadow clone that would deal with Kabuto, he prepared for his next move, giving Orochimaru as little time as possible. Toko Hunter. Itaryu. Dei Shinken, one sword style, Great Dragon Shock. Both Naruto and his clone blasted off towards their targets, slamming the sword from above down towards their shoulders. Both teacher and student jumped far back to avoid it, which had Naruto chuckle in a way that gave even Orochimaru the chills. You're dead now, Snake Bounty. Naruto cackled as two shadow clones appeared next to him just to instantly teleport using Hiration kunao, each placed behind Orochimaru and Kabuto. Simultaneously the clones used the jutsu that the Uzumaki clan was famous for, Kongo Fusa, adamantine sealing chains, trapping both of them with his chains. Naruto created two more clones that ran towards them. Both of them had formed a Rasengan in their right hand. Meanwhile Hiruzen was struggling against the Senju brothers. Even in his prime he would have a hard time against them as opponents. He was well aware of the fact that they were nowhere near their full strength after fighting them for a while now. But the brothers could beat 10% of their strength and still be more than enough to take in most shinobi. Tobirama sent another water jutsu his way that he had to dodge. Suiden no Jutsu, water style, water bomb jutsu. Jumping up into the air to dodge it, he struggled to get out of the way of Hashirama's wood style technique. Mokuton, Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, wood style, Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Hiruzen had no choice but to use fire to burn the incoming Shuriken to ash. Katon, Indan, Fire Release, Flame Bullet. He then landed on the ground in front of his enemies, already sweating and breathing hard. I have to keep them busy so Naruto can finish their job, he told himself as another wave of jutsu came his way from Thebra brothers. Hiruzen decided that he had enough of dodging. It was time to strike back. He leaped forward armed with his staff, slamming it in Tadabirama's shoulder. Tobirama was unable to dodge it as his shoulder was smashed to bloody pieces from the force. Then something that Hiruzen found to be very troublesome happened. Thwound healed itself instantly, meaning that it was impossible for him to kill the reanimations in a normal way. Jair, Hiruzen sighed, thinking he was getting too old for this shit. He should be at his home enjoying a smoke and training the future generations. When Naruto's clones neared Orochimaru and Kabuto, Orochimaru had managed to cut his arm to draw some blood that landed on his arm where he had a tattoo of a summoning seal. Kukiyos. No jutsu, summoning technique. He roared as smoke covered everything in front of Naruto. When the smoke caused by Orochimaru's summons cleared, Naruto saw Orochimaru and Kabuto standing on top of two large snakes. The snakes were about 15 meters tall. If Naruto had to guess, the summoning of the snakes had helped them get out of his chakra chains, which had ruined his plan to quickly end the fight. But if they wanted to fight with summons, Naruto was all for that. He bit his thumb to draw blood before using the summoning technique himself. Kukiyos no jutsu, he said as slammed his hand down in the ground in front of him. With another smoke cloud covering the area between them, a large toad with two large swords on his back appeared. Why did you summon me, you stupid kid? Gamahiro asked in annoyance. If you have to ask, then I wonder who is stupid, Naruto said, motioning towards the snakes. See these snakes? He asked. Gamahiro frowned. How do you keep getting yourself in situations like these? Then he chuckled. Although this is a great opportunity to acquire a snake wallet as a birthday present for Butasama, the snakes hissed when they heard the toad say that last part. At the same time they launched their bodies head first towards Thetoad. They opened their mouths to bare their large fangs. Watch closely, idiot. I'm going to show you how a master sword user fights, Gamahiro said with a smirk, about to draw both of his swords. Naitoryu. Iai, Rashomon, two-sword style resheath, Thin Life Gate. It's a dual sword drawing technique so powerful that it can split large obstacles in half. Gamahiro draws his swords, and sheaths them quickly. When his swords are sheathed, they see the snakes whose bodies had been cut in half fall to their death in front of them. Good look, Baka, Gamahiro said before disappearing a puff of smoke. Orochimaru and Kabuto were back on the ground, Kabuto with a somewhat worried look on his face while Orochimaru stared at Naruto with a menacing glare. This kid ruined my plans last year and will keep doing so in the future if I don't take care of him now, Orochimaru thought. But Orochimaru knew that he was at a disadvantage here. He had wasted far more chakra than necessary in his little bout against Team 7. Then he had to use his special body replacement technique that created a new body, which takes a lot of Orochimaru's chakra to use, after Naruto's surprise attack earlier. In summary, his chakra was getting low. Orochimaru realized that retreating was the best option for him now. He had done what he came for, which was marking Sasuke with the cursed seal of heaven. Destroying Konoha would have to come later when he is more prepared and has more allies. Kabuto, I leave him to you, Orochimaru told his partner, who nodded and readjusted his glasses. Kabuto understood what Orochimaru wanted from him. Kabuto was after all the one that had done their Namiation summoning, so he and the Senju zombies would distract Naruto and the third Hokage while Orochimaru gets out of the village. You think I'm letting you leave? Naruto laughed at the thought. Silly bounty, he said in a mocking manner. Naruto heard the sound of several explosions behind him. Hiruzen had combined the Shuriken Shadow Clone technique with exploding tags as a distraction. Hiruzen had then used an Ash release technique that would have normally killed both of the Senju brother, if they didn't just instantly heal again. Seems like the old monkey is having fun, Naruto thought as he did a one-handed seal with his right hand. He created 50 more shadow clones that he would send out in the search of Orochimaru once he decided to run. With a chakra scalpel in hand, Kabuto run towards Naruto and his clones go. Kabuto yelled, which had Orochimaru disappear in Ashunshin. Naruto's clones immediately scattered as they left in these Arch of the Snake Sun in. Naruto chuckled as he saw Kabuto charging towards him. That's cute, he commented, which had Kabuto smirk back at him. This kid is underestimating me. That will be his death, he thought. Naruto tilted his head as Kabuto neared him. Once Kabuto was close enough to attack him with the scalpel, Naruto's activated Biju mode, which had his whole body covered in yellow chakra. With a seal-less teleportation as fast as the Hiraishin, he appeared behind Kabuto with an Otama Raise-Non in hand. Kabuto had no time to dodge it, so he had to take the full force of the Raise-Non from behind. Snorting at the weak shinobi below him, Naruto was about to leave to join Ho's clones in search of Orochimaru. That was when Kabuto stood up, full of cuts and bruises which slowly healed. Ha ha ha. Kabuto laughed, "You will have to do more than that, I'm afraid. Naruto-kun, you should have stayed down," Naruto said, simply moving forward before disappearing quickly. Itaryu, Hanata Sancho, Naruto reappeared behind Kabuto sheathing his sword, Yahazugiri, one's word style, 3-verse humming, arrow notch slash. A burst of blood shot from Kabuto's torso as a vertical wound appeared from his waist up to his shoulder. Kabuto was forced down to a sitting position from the damage, breathing hard. Naruto stood behind Kabuto. Kabuto saw a vision of Naruto drawing his sword Senju. He whispered before cutting of Kabuto's head, ending his life. In reality, Naruto had put his sword to Kabuto's neck, ready to cut his throat at any sign of moment. "You're the one that summoned Hashiramadano and Tobiramadano, am I right?" Naruto asked. Kabuto answered with a weak yes. "How do I stop them? Is there a way to kill them?" Naruto questioned. Kabuto chuckled. "Why should I tell you that? It's simple. Either you tell me or I kill you," Naruto threatened with no hesitation. If Kabuto was a mindless follower of Orochimaru such as Kimimaro, he would have gladly given up his life if it would help his master. But Kabuto had his own dreams and plans for the ninja world. "How about we make a deal? I cancel the summons and in return y'all let me and Orochimaru-sama go." Kabuto tried to negotiate his way out of this. "Okay," Naruto answered and removed the sword from Kabuto's neck. While they spoke, Hashirama was covering the open grassy field with large trees using his Mokudan ability. Tobirama was sending a large tidal wave towards Hiruzen. Kabuto stood up and focused, then did a series of hand seals which were rat, ox, monkey, tiger, dragon, and boar. Kai, release, Kabuto spoke, which had the Senju brothers' bodies disintegrate back into dust and the sacrifices' corpses was left lying in the debris. The soul of the two brothers remained floating above the corpses, which had Naruto shiver. "Ghosts," he thought in panic. "Sorry about this, Saru," Tobirama said. "We leave the future of the village in your Tsunade's and the young Senju's hand," Hashirama added. "Rest in peace, my dear teachers," Hiruzen said warmly as the souls disappeared. A panting Hiruzen sat down to catch his breath. Meanwhile, Naruto grabbed his sword and cut off Kabuto's head. "I lied," he said simply before making his way over to Hiruzen. "My clones are tracking the snake bounty. On your order I shall end his life," Naruto said. Hiruzen nursed his forehead as he thought on what to do next. "How far away is he?" he asked. "He's fast at running away, that's for sure," Naruto began. "He's already several miles away from the village," Hiruzen sighed. He knew there was only one answer Naruto would accept from him. "Do it. Bring his head to me," he ordered. "Hi, Dadabi," Naruto grinned and saluted before leaving in a flash of yellow. Inma cancelled his transformation, causing him to turn back to normal. He stared at his tired partner and asked, "Do ya want me to gather up the remains of the enemy?" Hiruzen nodded. "If you would," before Inma could take one step towards Kabuto's corpse, they heard a loud, dark and evil laugh coming from somewhere underground. A person whose body was half black and half white with green eyes and bright yellow eyes emerged from underground. The person wore the black Akatsuki robes with the red clouds. "Zetsu is here," the figure said in a different, more cheerful and friendly voice. "That was quite the fight, you and the Kyubi Jinchuriki Shoidos," the dark voice from earlier said. Hiruzen stared at the person who seemed to have two personalities. "Akatsuki," he growled. A vortex appeared next to Zetsu where another person appeared from. This person also wore a robe, but it was different from the Akatsuki one as it was dark blue without any patterns or clouds. He wore an orange face mask with a single hole where his left eye located. Hiruzen stared into the hole just to stare into a single, sharing an eye. "Who are you?" Hiruzen asked darkly while Inma took up a fighting position next to Hiruzen. Meanwhile, in the Hokage's office, Tsunade was worried as she paced around her office waiting for reports from her ninja. As soon as she had received word on Naruto and Sarutobi-sensei entering the forest to go after Orochimaru, she had sent help. The ones she had sent was Kakashi, Guy and Asuma, three of her strongest jounin. In a chair in front of her desk sat Akusa Genin, Karen, who Naruto had brought her here without any explanation. "Calm down, Tsunade-sama, a worried Shizune said, but Tsunade seemed to ignore it as she kept on walking back and forth in the office. Karen had told her a little of what had happened to her. Her teammates had disappeared somehow and been replaced by who must have been Orochimaru and the former spy, Kabuto. Kushinawa was in the shadows of the office, hiding herself as Tsunade's guard had already figured out that Karen is an Uzumaki. She knew that Tsunade must have figured it out as well. Kushina decided she would bring up the matter once the fight with Orochimaru is over. They heard something knock on the window from outside, which had them all focus on it. Up on the window still they saw a small orange toad who had a scroll in its mouth. Tsunade opened the window to let the toad in. The toad jumped upon Tsunade's desk then waved, "Yo, I'm Gamekaki. Naruto told me to deliver this to the Hokage." "Thanks," Tsunade said as she grabbed the scroll. As she unsealed it, the toad disappeared and in front of her laid the head of her former teammate, Orochimaru. Next to the head was a simple letter with a few words written on it. She stared at the bloody head for a few seconds, which put her into a shocking state due to her fear of blood. Shizune, her apprentice, quickly led the head into the scroll. "Is this some kind of joke?" questioned as Tsunade sat down in her chair, reading the letter that came with the scroll. "We will know soon enough, Tsunade-sama," Shizune answered. "I expect to be paid fully for this snake bounty." Monkey-sama. Tsunade read the words on the letter, which made her believe that this scroll was meant for Hiruzen and not her. Back with Hiruzen in the Forest of Death, the figure with the Sharingan eye, wearing the dark blue robes, pointed at himself. "Me?" he asked cheerfully. "I'm Toby. I'm a good boy." He introduced. Zetsu in the meantime was walking towards Kabuto's corpse. An unknown Uchiha working with the Akatsuki, Hiruzen stated. Then his expression hardened. "So it was you." Hiruzen seemed to have put it all together fast. This Uchiha had Tobe, the one responsible for the attack 14 years ago where the Kyuubi was forced out of Kushina as she was giving birth to Naruto. He was the cause of the Kyuubi attack and all the deaths that came with it that night. He was the reason Naruto was an orphan. He was the reason his loving wife, Biwako, died. Toby nodded cheerfully. "Aha." As Zetsu sealed the cut-off head and Kabuto's body into a scroll before disappearing into the ground. Toby's voice then changed into a more mature one as he sensed more Konoha ninja nearing them. "Don't worry, Sandaime Hokage. We are not here to fight," he began as he gave Hiruzen a closer look. "And if we were, how long do you think you would last in your current state?" he asked. Hiruzen knew the man was right. From what he know of the Akatsuki, all their members are ninjas that can be considered S-class level. "So, why are you here then?" Hiruzen asked as he gave him a sign with his hand to stay back. Toby chuckled. "We have been tracking Orochimaru for a long time. We were interested to see what he wanted from this chuunin exams. The reason why we choose to appear now is simply because Kabuto's corpse could be of use to us," Toby explained. Then his voice changed back to the cheery one. "Well, I better get going before Thebos gets angry." He waved his hands at Hiruzen before disappearing into the vortex using Kamui with the main Jikyo Sharingan. Just as the Uchiha disappeared, Guy, Kakashi and Asuma had arrived. "Sandaime-sama." Guy and Kakashi said as they arrived while Asuma stared at his father. "You alright there, Pops?" he asked. Since Orochimaru had left and Kabuto's remains had been taken, there was nothing left to do here. "We are heading back to Konoha. The fighting is over," Hiruzen said, which had the other look at each other in confusion. "What happened, Sandaime-sama?" Kakashi asked. Hiruzen stood up and started walking. In a tired voice he answered, "Me and Naruto had a little run-in with Orochimaru." "Oh, how youthful. Where is Naruto-kun now?" Guy shouted his question. Hiruzen hummed, thinking on what to say. He went home for a snack of cookies and milk. The three of them sweat dropped, none of them believing it. But they were in no position to question the former Hokage further. "We're heading back to the Hokage office," Hiruzen ordered before disappearing in a gust of wind as he used a shunshin. The other followed after while Inma returned to the monkey world in a puff of smoke. With Naruto. Naruto was back in the village. He had done his duty. After killing Orochimaru, he had chugged 2 large barrels of sake to quickly get drunk. He planned on having more drinks before he reached his destination, that was a building where jounins gather. He was a little disappointed at how easy Orochimaru had let him kill him. Was here ally Sunin? He wondered. Something weird did happen when he killed Orochimaru. From his body thousands of small white snakes appeared. Naruto killed off as many as he could before returning to Konoha. He never thought that a human could have that many snakes inside his body. Everything about Orochimaru was weird. When he reached the building, he saw the person he was looking for. Kurane was sitting next to Anko, Genma, and Aoba talking about teacher chuunin exams and their students. When they noticed Naruto, both Anko and Kurane waved at him. Naruto-kun. They greeted cheerfully, then glared at each other. Anko-chan, Kurane-chan. Naruto greeted politely. He then glossated towards Genma and Aoba before shaking his head. He didn't bother greeting them. Kurane-chan, I need you to come with me, he said, grabbing her hand, and started moving towards the exit. What's going on, Naruto? Kurane asked as Naruto started moving faster. Once they were outside the building, Naruto asked, "Wanna have as ex?" Kurane answered with throwing her arms around Naruto and kissing him. Naruto did a one-handed seal to use the shunshin to take them to Konoha's finest hotel, where he had booked a room for the night. Nothing would get in their way this time. A person just woke up not knowing where he was. The room he was in was so dark that he couldn't make out what was in front of him. His whole body was a mess. It hurt like hell. Mostly it hurt around his neck. Looking around the room, he saw two purple eyes in the dark stare at him. "Welcome back to the living, Yakushi Kabuto," he heard a voice say, coming from the eyes. Kabuto stared into the eyes, not knowing what to say. "Who are you? Where am I?" he asked. "I am God," the figure said, moving closer until Kabuto could see him fully. It was an orange-haired man wearing the Akatsuki robes. He had several piercings all over him, and those purple eyes with the circular patterns bugged the hell out of Kabuto. "Akatsuki," Kabuto growled as he glared at the person in front of him. Pain nodded. "You will now work for me." Meanwhile, in Konoha, the morning after the incident with Orochimaru and Kabuto, Tsunade had called a meeting with the other cage to inform them of what had happened. They were to meet in the council chambers within the Hokage Tower. Once the cages started arriving, Tsunade noticed something was off about them. The Raikage appeared furious and tired at the same time, muttering about horny bastards. Terumi Mei, the Mizukage's eyebrows didn't seem to stop twitching as she mumbled to herself. Unaki was shaking his head and clenching his fist. Beiki, who still worked as the acting Kaze Cage but had Gaara, who would be the next Kaze Cage with him, appeared annoyed. Gaara, however, seemed amused. "What's wrong with you all? Slept bad?" Tsunade asked with a chuckle. "Stupid youngsters," Unaki muttered in response. "Horny bastards." A roared. Mei glared at Tsunade. "Is your villagers always this shameful?" Confused, Tsunade turned to Beiki in hope of an answer. He blushed and turned away from her stare. Instead, it was Gaara who decided to tell what had happened. "Naruto-san has been making coitus with a female Konoha jounin all night and thus kept these old people awake," Gaara explained with a dark chuckle. "It makes me happy to see others struggle to sleep, the Namikaze brat." I roared. "I have half a mind to go over there and kick his arse." They were still going at it when we left, Beiki added. "I don't know if you'd be impressed or disturbed." Unaki frowned. "This is the second time that brat keeps me from sleeping." Tsunade nursed her temple. "How do you know it's him?" she asked Gaara. Gaara chuckled darkly. "I ran into him and his lover in the hotel lobby last night. I also had the chance to thank him for making me realize just how wrong I went about everything. He opened my eyes." Beiki sweat dropped. The only thing that changed about Gaara is that he's now a hopeless pervert. Beiki considers him a bad wannabe womanizer. He also saw him as a misogynist. Gaara had once asked his sister to marry to help him practice for whenever he was to lay with a woman. Beiki had never seen to marry that angry before, or Gaara thought afraid for that matter. "He opened your eyes?" Tsunade questioned. "What does that mean?" Gaara nodded sagely. "I now live for the pussy." When he finished his sentence, he had grabbed a volume of Ika Ika and flipped a page open to read. The Raikage, A's eyes almost bulged out of his eye sockets. He couldn't he believe this little brat had the balls to say that in front of the female Hokage and Mizukage. Both of them known to handle any pervert they come across viciously. He saw that Unaki had already moved to hold the Mizukage back to save the young future Kazukage's life, while he moved to stop Tsunade. "Hokage, he is young, calm yourself," a roared as he stood in the way of Tsunade, who glared at Gaara. Unaki was protecting Gare in a similar manner from Mei. Just then the door opened to reveal Hiruzen, who stared at them with a look of disappointment. "What's this ruckus about?" He then continued saying in a very sarcastic manner, "Oh honorable cages," still glaring at Gaara. Tsunade spoke, "I will forget that comment for now." She then turned towards Hiruzen. "You're late, sensei." "Yeah well, I'm here now," Hiruzen said in a bored and tired tone. Ash took a seat next to Unaki. He turned to Unaki and asked, "You are still alive?" With a vein popping on his forehead, Unaki snapped, "Right back at ya, you old goat." "Old?" Mei repeated with a sweet smile before glaring at Unaki. "Shut up or I'll kill you." Unaki started sweating a little. These cage meetings were always special with a lot of special people. Tsunade then started the meeting by letting them know why they have been called here. She informed them of Orochimaru infiltrating the exams. She then told them that Hiruzen, with the help of Naruto, had managed to kill both Orochimaru and his partner Kabuto when they confronted them. Hiruzen told them the details of his and Naruto's fights against the Senju brothers and Kabuto. The only detail he didn't know was how Orochimaru had died. Therefore they wanted to hear it from the man that killed him. Hiruzen told them it was a bad idea to disturb Naruto now, since the reason he was late was because he wanted to bring Naruto to the meeting. When he did so, he almost lost his life thanks to Naruto's word, and Kurane had threatened to put him in a genjutsu where had to obverse Guy and Kakashi make out and declare their love for each other. Needless to say, he was not going to try his luck getting him here again anytime soon. I think it's best we let Naruto be for the time being. We can hear what he has to say tomorrow, Hiruzen suggested. There is still a few days left before the second part of the chuunin exams end. After that we will have a month to prepare for the finals. We will have many more opportunities for further talks, Hiruzen continued. The cages agreed with Hiruzen as they continued the meeting with different matters to discuss. Meanwhile, with Naruto and Kurane, there is a lemon scene here. I will soon make a Patreon where you can watch it if interested, but YouTube won't allow it. The next day Naruto was back at the Sarutobi clan compound guarding the former Hokage. Hiruzen kept telling him about everything that happened in the second part of the exams since yesterday, even though Naruto repeatedly told him he wasn't interested. Days later marked the end of the second part of the exams. Konoha had been very successful, but due to the high amount of teams that passed they were forced to hold preliminary matches today. This annoyed Naruto to no end, as Hiruzen would give him constant updates on how the matches went. First he told him that all of last year's rookie teams from Konoha and Team Guy had passed these con exam. Other than them, only the single team from Iwa passed. That made a total of 6 teams passing, meaning that there would be 9 preliminary matches with 9 genins moving on to the finals next month. As Hiruzen reported the matches, Naruto decided to scribble down a summary of what he reported. Preliminary matches: Sakura vs Bell, winner, Sakura. Bell was one of Kuratsuka's teammates. Teiwa vs Endo, winner, Teiwa. Endo was Kuratsuka's third teammate. Kuratsuka vs Tenten, winner, Kuratsuka. Suzuki vs Chuji, winner, Suzuki. Shikamaru vs Sai, winner, Shikamaru. Ino vs Hinata, winner, Ino. Hanabi vs Niji, winner, Niji. Midori vs Kiba, winner, Midori. Lee vs Shino, winner, Lee. Due to the uneven amount of people in the finals, 2 genins would have to go against one more opponent than the others. The final bracket turned out like this. Once it had been decided, first round Lee vs Shikamaru. The rest moves on to the second round. Second round Teiwa vs Niji, Suzuki vs Midori, Sakura vs Kuratsuki, Ino vs the winner of Lee and Shikamaru. Once Naruto had written down everything Hiruzen had told him, he chuckled darkly. "I think I know who I'm gonna train for the month." "Oh?" Hiruzen asked with curiosity. "Are you continuing your training with Sakura?" "Of course, she's my student after all, but there is someone else I must train as well," Naruto explained. "Who?" Hiruzen asked. Naruto laughed. "Why, Ujo, of course. It would be a shame if my former teammate lost against the runt of the Uchiha clan." Hiruzen hummed and thought, "But isn't she just like Suzuki, an Uchiha that you hate?" "No." Naruto shook his head. "I have decided that I like the women of Uchiha clan." Hiruzen snorted at that. "It sounded different 1 year ago when I wanted to assign her to your team. Would you like me to go back to hating all of them?" Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Hiruzen waved him off. No, I suppose it's a good thing after all." Hiruzen then put his thumb on his chin and thought, "I guess it would help out Mikoto-san as well. That way she can focus solely on Suzuki while you train Midori." "What about the fake Uchiha? Isn't he the teacher of the runt?" Naruto Asked. Hiruzen nodded. I suppose he is another one that could train Sasuke. If that's the case, you and Mikoto both can focus on Midori. Exactly, Naruto said in a cheerful tone. While Midori trains the mother of Uchiha and I can have oral sex or even more than that. Naruto ended the sentence with a perverted laugh. What? Hiruzen questioned loudly. You are after her too. What are you yelling about, you old monkey? Naruto said as he cleaned his ear due to Hiruzen's loud yell. She's already sucked my dick once. Hiruzen stared at him in disbelief before shaking his head slowly. This could end very badly if all the women in Naruto's life found out about it, especially Kushina. Hiruzen shivered just at the thought of Kushina finding out. He didn't know that Naruto had already told Kurane, so he was afraid of her also finding out. Then there was Tsunade, who Hiruzen had noticed looked very angry and jealous during the cage meeting yesterday. Hiruzen then shrugged. It wasn't his problem. You should tell your mom what you just told me. I'm sure she will be glad to hear it, you think? Naruto asked. Yes, make sure to tell her everything you've done with Mikoto-san, Kurane-san, and anyone else you may have fooled around with, Hiruzen continued as he struggled to hold back a laugh. Oh. Naruto's eyes widened. Do you think she will be proud of? Hiruzen nodded slowly. Of course, I would think she would explode of happiness once you tell her. Alright, I'm leaving right away to tell her. Thanks, old monkey, Naruto said before jumping off the roof heading back into the village. Hiruzen snickered as he watched Naruto's leaving form. He shook his head and whispered, Baka. A 9-year-old Naruto sat outside the academy on a swing under a tree. He watched as his classmates played with each other, classmates he knew had been told to stay away from him. Naruto was about to leave the swing so he could get to his favorite place, which was a forest outside the village. There he could train without anyone interfering or disturbing him. It was the first step to becoming the greatest Hokage ever. A young woman in her late teens stood in Naruto's way. She was wearing the standard chuunin outfit with the exception of her pants being red instead of dark blue. She had long dark hair, big red eyes and a very pretty face. She smiled down at Naruto and asked, what are you doing back here? Shouldn't you be playing with the others? Che. Naruto snorted. That's none of your business. Dadabia. Ash attempted to make his way past the chuunin. She held him back with her hand on his shoulder. Where are you going? She asked, only to have Naruto turn around and stick his face as close to hers as he could. Let go of me, you ugly hag. He yelled, which had Kurane let go. It was the first time someone of the other gender had called her ugly. Usually it's only girls who are jealous and wants to put her down. The males she had met, no matter if they are men or boys, would always compliment her on her beauty. It was kind of refreshing to hear someone think otherwise, but he didn't have to be so blunt about it. As Naruto ran off, Kurane decided to chase after him. What did you call me? You little bastard. She roared as she ran after Naruto. No. Naruto cried, get away from me, you damn hag. Naruto ran to the other side of the playground where he found a girl in his class who seemed to have walked off from her group of friends. She was a girl with shoulder-long blonde hair. Naruto decided to use her as a shield as he hid behind her. Save me, Ino. Naruto yelled as he tried to hide as much as possible behind the girl. Kurane smiled as she stared at them. Now he had someone to play with. She decided to forget about the ugly hag comment and leave the two alone. After Kurane left, Ino had turned around and put her left hand on her hip while holding up her right hand with the index finger pointing up in front of Naruto's face. Always getting into trouble, Ino scolded. You good-for-nothing class clown. Naruto pouted. That's mean, Ino. Crossing her arms above her chest, she frowned and asked, what do you want, Naruto? Before Naruto could respond, she added, if it's about Sakura then I don't want to hear it. Naruto chuckled then shook his head. Thanks for saving me from that scary Oni-san. Ino stared at him in confusion then shrugged. No problem. Naruto was about to leave when he decided to tell Ino something. He turned around and stared at Ino for a while, which made her a little uncomfortable. What? She snapped. With a chuckle, Naruto said, you know. Naruto paused and gave Ino one of his widest grins. Just between you and me, you're prettier than Sakura-chan. With that, Naruto ran off heading towards the forest to train, leaving a blushing Ino to stare at his leaving form. I care, be baka. Naruto heard Ino's yell before he left the shul ground. Present time, Naruto had just arrived at his home. Entering through the front door, he was wondering why he was seeing flashes of his life play before him in his mind. He had heard that could happen when you were close to death. Naruto shrugged it off. He wasn't about to die anytime soon. Mother. Naruto called out. Yes, Naruto. Kushina answered, walking down the stairs wearing her regular clothes, which was mainly a green dress. I want to tell you something that I have been told you would want to hear. Something that would make you very happy, Naruto said. Oh. Kushina responded with a smile while thinking, is he going to confess to me? I have come before you to tell you about my relations with the other gender, Naruto said with a straight face. Kushina stopped smiling in favor of frowning as she stared with narrowed eyes at Naruto-gun. I had sex. Naruto coughed into his hand as he corrected himself. You made love to Kurane the other day, Kushina growled in response. I suppose that was only a matter of time. She turned her head to the side with HMPF. I have been making out with Teiwa, Shijir, and Tsunade, Naruto continued as Kushina's head snapped back towards him in a fast and unnatural way. Tsunade. She roared, that damn liar. Naruto nodded, I wasn't done. I have also bathed naked and slept naked with Shijir on several occasions. Kushina's surprised expression returned to a frown. Who is this Shijir person? She demanded. Never mind that, I have more to tell you, Mother, Naruto said with a bit of hesitation. She did not seem happy so far. Should he continue? He wondered. Me and the mother of Uchiha had oral sex the last time I visited for Lunk. When Naruto finished speaking, he jumped back as far as Hekud while indoor due to Kushina exploding. Her hair raised above her in the form of 9 tails, and she had somehow gained a dark aura that surrounded her. With Mikoto. She yelled, why did you do all that with her instead of me? I'm your mother, not her. She was jealous because of 2 reasons. 1. Naruto had gone to Mikoto to get his lunch. 2. Shuanti to have oral sex with Naruto. Naruto started sweating. Maybe he should run now before something bad happens. Aren't you happy, mother? He questioned. Hell no, I'm not happy, she shouted in answer as she shook from anger. She calmed herself as Naruto stared at her in fear. The dark aura disappeared and her hair returned to normal. Are serious about having several girlfriends? Kushina asked. Unsure, Naruto nodded with wide eyes. He was ready to disappear at any time. Yes, mother. Kushina's whole posture changed as she poked her fingers together, staring at the ground. Red-faced and with a shaky voice she asked, what about me? Naruto tilted his head and uttered as he stared at Kushina with squinted eyes. Kushina then screamed as loud as she could with clenched fists, I want to be your girlfriend too, Bane. Kushina, still red-faced due to the embarrassment, waited for Naruto to answer. It felt like forever before Naruto laughed. That's great, mother. He said cheerfully, of course I want you to be one of my girlfriends. But Kushina stuttered, not expecting Naruto to accept it that quickly. I'm your MO. She was interrupted as Naruto put a hand on her shoulder and stared into her face. Right, you're my mother and therefore you belong to me and no one else. Kushina smiled and nodded slowly. She realized that Naruto had never learned of why it was considered wrong for close family members to get together. Or maybe he did and didn't care. Kushina was fine with either way. Kushina threw her arms around Naruto and hugged him while Naruto in return hugged her back. She leaned into his ear and whispered, do you want to go upstairs? Naruto grinned at her. You want to fuck? He asked. Why yeah. Kushina responded, the embarrassment returning. Sorry. Naruto said, breaking the hug. Scratching the back of his head he continued, I have to get permission first. Permission? Kushina questioned, from who? Naruto chuckled, from Kurane of course. Naruto then explained that he and Kurane had came up with a compromise for this whole Naruto's harem thing. She accepted that Naruto would have other girlfriends but only if Kurane approved of them and gave him permission to court them. Kushina stared at him in disbelief. Okay Naruto, go ask your girlfriend for permission to fuck your mother. Naruto saluted her, as you wish, mother, then turned around to walk out of the house. When Naruto left, Kushina was standing at the same spot staring into empty space for a few minutes. She couldn't believe this conversation had actually happened and the way it turned out. Deciding not to dwell on it any longer, she raised her arm in victory. Fuck yeah, to Bane. She cheered. Later that night, Naruto had forgotten all about asking permission from Kurane once he had found her. They had spent the last few hours having sex themselves instead. It always happened after the first time. As soon as they saw each other, they couldn't keep their hands off of each other. It didn't matter if they were in the Hokage Tower, at home outdoors or at someone else's home, they always found somewhere to hide and do it. After saying goodbye to Kurane with a promise to see her at home later, Naruto was on his way to see his student. The utter disappointment of a student. In his search to find Haruno, Sakura had run into Nara Shikamaru. "Shika, you're out late," Naruto had greeted. "Hey, Naruto," Shika greeted lazily. "Yeah, I'm staying away from home. Mom is acting weird ever since you visited us." Oh. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Is she being hard on you?" Shikamaru shook his head. "No, she's the complete opposite than before. Acting all nice and stuff." Shikamaru shivered. "It scares the hell out of me." Naruto sweat dropped. "I see. And for some reason she wants you to come visit again. It's real troublesome," Shikamaru continued. "Tell her I will come visit sometime soon. In the meantime I need your help." "My help?" Shikamaru asked, pointing at his chest with wood. Naruto scratched the back of his head. "Well, I'm trying to find my student, but I don't know where she lives." "Your student? You have a student?" Shikamaru questioned. Naruto nodded. "Yeah, you know, the flat-chested one." Shikamaru stared at him with a bored expression. "Can you be a little more specific?" There was many flat-chested girls their age after all. Shikamaru then chuckled as he realized who Naruto was searching for. "You're looking for Sakura, aren't you? See? Shika." Naruto slapped him on his back. "That's why you're the smart one, Mehi." Shikamaru chuckled. "I don't know where she lives though. She is just an old classmate, not a close friend or anything." Oh. Naruto put his hand on his chin and thought, "Want to help me find her? Troublesome." Shikamaru responded with closed eyes. "Why don't you just ask Ino? She and Sakura used to be best friends." "Good idea, Shika." Naruto slammed his hand on Shikamaru's back once again, causing him to open his eyes with a frown. "Can you stop that?" Naruto chuckled as he made his way towards what he thought was the direction of Ino's house. "Good job reaching the finals of the chuunin exams, Shika." Naruto laughed when he finished talking, as if he had just told a funny joke. "Thanks," Shika responded in a bored tone. "Ino's house is the other way, by the way." Naruto, now with a bottle of whiskey in his hand, wobbled back to the other direction. Pointing at Shikamaru, "Right," he said, and was on his way. Shikamaru was left with only his thoughts. He had regretted leaving before he saw just what Naruto had done that day he visited. But had his reasons. He thought there was a chance Naruto would unleash the monster that was his mother. She would kill them all. But now she was acting all weird. She had become nice and stopped nagging him about everything. She also kept asking both Shikamaru and Shikaku to bring Naruto home more often. When Shikamaru asked his father what had happened, he refused to answer. It was all just too weird and suspicious. Shikamaru decided that he would some other time investigate what had happened, but now he had to focus on the chuunin exams. It would take most people about 5 minutes to get to the Yamanaka flower shop from where Naruto and Shikamaru parted. For Naruto it took 30 minutes, and he had to ask 10 people for directions. Now that he had reached the destination, he found the entrance to the shop blocked by a tall man with long blonde hair. "Hello, Uzumaki." Naruto, Yamanaka Inoichi greeted in a not-so-friendly way. "Out of my way, Asen," Naruto ordered, taking a chug of his whiskey from the bottle. Inoichi crossed his arms above his chest. "I don't think so, Bradha," Naruto responded, sticking his face into his. "How dare he prevent him from seeing Ino-chan?" Naruto thought. Ash stared down the old man. Two shadows appeared behind Inoichi as Naruto was about to draw his sword. "Itaryu. Ai. One sword style draw and resheath," Naruto spoke as the two figures behind Inoichi neared them. "Dad. What are you doing?" Ino almost yelled as she pushed herself forward. Right next to Ino was Sakura, the one Naruto had been searching for. Naruto stopped drawing his sword when he saw Ino as he was about to cut the old man in front of him in half. "Ino. Go back inside, let me deal with this drunken pervert," Inoichi spoke as he snarled at Naruto. Inoichi never had anything against Naruto, but that changed the day he found out that Ino liked him. Inoichi had heard a lot of what Naruto had done and seen some of it himself. For example, at the last chuunin exams where he shamelessly embarrassed Kushina in front of the whole stadium. Ino put her hands on her hips and said, "Dad." Dangerously. Inoichi gulped as he backed off to let Sakura get through as well to stand next to Ino. Inoichi slowly walked away while glaring at Naruto. If I find out you have done anything to my daughter, I will kill you." Naruto, who had just realized that the old man was in fact Ino's father, chose not to respond to that, fearing that anything he would say would make it worse. Instead he tried to shove Sakura off him as he had thrown herself at him. She hugged him and greeted him cheerfully, "Hello sensei." Ino, who was already irritated due to her father's antics, grew even more angry as she saw her old love rival push herself at Naruto. Meanwhile Naruto just stood there with a twitching eyebrow. He was considering asking her to let go but figured it would be too much of a hassle to try and figure out her name. Ino clenched her right hand into a fist and growled, "Sakura." It was now that she had heard from Teiwa earlier today that Naruto and Kurane had gotten together. "Get the hell away from Naruto-kun!" Ino yelled loudly as she stomped the 3 steps over to them and pushed Sakura away from him. Sakura just giggled in response. "You don't get it, do you, Inopic?" she asked with a wide smile. "Get what?" Ino asked with gritted teeth. Naruto figured now was a good time to say something since it looked like these two might start a fight. "Ino-chan, I was looking for you," Naruto said, which had Ino focus on Naruto instead of Sakura. "Really?" she asked hopefully. Naruto nodded. "I need your help to find the flat-chested girl." Ino giggled. "You mean forehead girl?" she asked. Sakura responded by growling at Ino. "Of course not, I'm right here, Baka Pig." Naruto stared at Ino for a while in a questioning manner before turning to Sakura and focused his eyes on her. Naruto thought that it may have been a bad idea to get shit-faced before deciding to find his student. He squinted his eyes as he stared at her for almost a half a minute. "Oh, there you are," he said as he recognized her. Ino laughed loudly at that while Sakura got a tick mark on her forehead. "Sensei," she spoke in quiet, irritated tone. "What do you want with the forehead girl anyway?" Ino asked Naruto, who stared at her in question again, confused by Ino's nickname for Sakura. Sakura smiled as she spoke before Naruto had a chance to. "Isn't it obvious? He obviously wants to spend his time with a fit, beautiful Konoichi rather than a fat pig." Sakura then threw herself at Naruto and hugged his arm to herself. "Right, sensei?" she asked, smiling cutely at him. Ino was beyond pissed now as she gained the infamous and fearful dark aura that surrounded her as she gathered chakra what Wast had. Ino yelled. Naruto coughed into his other hand to try and get their attention. "I just wanted to let you know that I will be helping Ujo with hurt raining as she will be fighting against Arunt." "Ujo? That's Midori-san, right?" Sakura asked, waiting for an answer from Naruto, who stared at her for a while before tilting his head. "Ujo is the younger female of the despicable Uchiha clan," Naruto explained. Sakura, happy with the way Naruto talked about the Uchiha clan, nodded. "Yeah, that's Midori Baka." Naruto let out a long drawn sigh. "Yes. Then what about me, sensei?" Sakura asked. "I was thinking that I could train you both at the same time," Naruto explained, which had Sakura strike a thinking pose. She hummed before speaking. "That's great actually, since I was planning to ask Ino to train with her. But me and Ino are on the same side of the bracket, while me and Midori-san won't have to fight each other unless we both reach the finals." Naruto did not really listen to what Sakura said, but he nodded happily anyway. "Right. So the only thing left to do is for you to go to the Uchiha's home and inform Ujo and the mother of Uchiha of this." "Me?" Sakura questioned, pointing her thumb at herself. "Why can't you tell them?" "Well," Naruto began as he started sweating a little bit, not liking the question at all. "If word got out that I visited the Uchiha's home late at night, Kurane would kill me," he answered truthfully. Sakura smiled. "I understand, sensei." She then got going with a Skype in her step. "I'll let them know, sensei." When Sakura was out of Naruto's and Ino's line of sight, they were left alone. Ino was still as irritated as she was earlier as she tapped her foot in front of Naruto. "You know what Teiwa told me earlier?" she asked in an angry tone. Naruto shook his head, which had Ino continue. "She told me she wanted to castrate you, and I am starting to think that it's not a bad idea." Naruto responded in confusion before asking, "What the fuck did I do?" Ino huffed as she crossed her arms above her chest and turned her head to the side. "If you don't know that, you're an idiot." Naruto frowned. He did know why she was upset. It was the same reason most girls he knew was upset with him lately. "Is this about me and Kurane?" Naruto asked. Ino, without looking at him, nodded slowly, still as upset as earlier. "Ino, I want to ask you something," Naruto said as he walked over to her so he stood in front of her with close to no space between them. "What is it?" Ino asked. "Will you go on a date with me?" Naruto asked, giving her a wide smile. "What?" Hino asked in a shaky tone, aren't you dating Kurene's and Zi already? Yes. Naruto started before explaining to Hino the deal he had made with Kurene about allowing him to have more than one girlfriend. When Naruto was done, Hino stared at him with a twitching eyebrow. You're an asshole, you know that right? Naruto tilted his head in confusion, which had Hino sigh at his antics. He realized for a while now that you would be surrounded by girls, and the chance that you would date more than one girl is also something I considered. Naruto grinned again. So you're okay with it? No. Hino answered quickly, I want some time to think about this. She then smiled weakly. I will accept that date. However, Naruto was happy with that. Great. How about Friday? Hino shook her head. No, it will have to be after the chuunin exams. I want to focus on my training. Naruto nodded in understanding. If we don't see each other until the exams, I want to wish you good luck. He then gave Hino a quick peck in her cheek, which had Hino start blushing and stare at him wide-eyed as he turned to leave. Naruto stopped and turned around, then said, I still think you're pretty. Then he disappeared in a shunshin before Hino could respond. Hino was left both embarrassed and confused after that last comment and the kiss on the cheek. She stood there thinking about what Naruto had told earlier before deciding to call it a night. At the Uzumaki house, it was 1 hour until midnight when Naruto got home. After he had crashed into the house by destroying a window next to the front door, he had heard people chatting. Naruto had expected most of them to be asleep by now, as they usually were. Naruto headed towards the room where the voices came from, which happened to be their dining room, the same room the Uzumaki clan meeting had been held. When he walked into the rather large room, he saw what appeared to be another clan meeting, as all members sat around the rectangular table, including Kurene and Shizune. There was one more person seated around the table, a red-headed girl with glasses. It was the same girl Naruto had teleported from the battle with Orochimaru Tsunade's office to get her out of the way. Naruto, however, had forgotten all about that. When Naruto entered the room, everyone's eyes were on him. Karin did not recognize him without his toad mask, but he did recognize his chakra thanks to her great ability to sense a person's chakra. Thanks to that ability, she was certain that Naruto was the person that she had run into yesterday. Welcome home, Naruto-kun, Kurene and Kushina said at the same time, which had Kushina turn towards Kurene and glare at her, which Kurene ignored. Having another meeting? Naruto asked as he unsealed a beer bottle from a scroll. He then wobbled closer to the table. Everyone in the room could see and smell that he had had a lot of drink already. No. Tsunade was the one to answer. We are introducing another member to the Uzumaki clan. She then motioned with her right hand towards Karin. This is Karin, who we have just found out is part of the Uzumaki clan. Karin lowered her head slowly as if to bow and greeted Naruto politely. Greetings. Naruto frowned as he stared at her. You don't have any weird ambitions to bear my children, do you? Shizune exclaimed loudly at the absurd question. What kind of dumb question is that, shithead? Teiwa yelled, while others agreed with her, wanting to ask the same thing. Not every girl that you meet wants to have your children, Naruto-kun, Kushina added. No. Naruto asked in question before shrugging. I'm going to bed. He then walked over to Teiwa and threw her over his shoulder. He stopped and turned to Kurene. You coming? Kurene frowned as she got up and followed after Naruto, muttering about how she was not okay with this and there would be hell to pay. Naruto seemed to ignore it as the three of them made their way up the stairs. Teiwa struggling to get free. That left Tsunade, Shizune, Kushina, and Karin left downstairs. Tsunade let out a long-drawn sigh. I guess I will be the one that has to stop this. She was not okay with these sleeping arrangements. It was not right. Kushina responded by smiling weakly. There is no stopping him, auntie. Tsunade raised an eyebrow at her. You're starting to sound like Sarutobi-sensei. Karin turned to Shizune, who sat next to her, and asked, what just happened? Shizune just giggled in response. You will understand soon enough. The next day, yesterday, after going upstairs, Naruto had passed out after convincing Teiwa to sleep in his bed with him and Kurene. They had done just that. Sleep, nothing else. This morning when Naruto woke up, he found that both Teiwa and Kurene was missing from their bed. Both of them had a busy schedule for the month. Teiwa was going to train with mostly Jiraiya and Kushina instructing her, while Tsunade and Shizune would help out whenever they had time. Kurene had decided to up the training for Team 8, seeing as all of them was defeated in this chuunin exams. They would train harder and take on more missions to prepare themselves for the next exams. That worked out well for Naruto, seeing as he would be busy training Sakura and Midori for the month. After a quick breakfast where he avoided Kushina's questioning of why he had not talked to Kurane, he was on his way. He summoned his trusted bodyguards, Gamekaki and Gamatatsu. He was heading towards enemy territory after all, the Uchiha clan compound. Naruto and his two toad companions turned north and head as they walked the roads of Konoha towards their destination. Naruto was back wearing his blue clothes and without his mask. Naruto had unsealed his sword, having one hand ready to unsheath it at any moment. He was grinning the whole way there, whispering Senju, which irked a lot of the people who was next to him. When he arrived at the Uchiha clan compound, he saw Sakura outside the gates. She was not ready for battle as he was. Bring out your sword, young Senju. Naruto greeted his student. Sakura stared at him in confusion for a while. She thought they were born the same year, and Sakura was sure she remembered she was born before Naruto, which made her in fact older than him. Even so, she decided to go with it. "Hi, sensei," she said, unsealing her sword the same way Naruto always did from a scroll that she had stored in her shirt's pocket. "Report your missions," Naruto continued. "Hi." Sakura saluted. "The Uchihas agreed to train with us, but that was after Mikoto-san had told me she was not happy with me showing up at their home that late." Naruto was about to say when Sakura interrupted him. "I'm not done. Midori Baka told me not come back here as she still thinks I have an interest in her brother, the Runt as he had been dubbed." Naruto scratched the back of his head with a twitching eyebrow. "So?" he began, then waited a few seconds before continuing. "Are we free to enter?" Sakura nodded. "Great," Naruto said in a bored tone as he walked through the gates. "Be on guard. We are in enemy territory." "Hi, Sensei," Sakura answered in a low tone as her eyes roamed the compound searching for enemies. When Naruto and Sakura arrived at Midori and Mikoto's home, they appeared to be waiting for them. They welcomed them to their home before showing them to the backyard, which was also used as a training grounds. Sasuke was nowhere to be seen. Mikoto informed them that he was training with Kakashi just as Naruto and Hiruzen had expected. Now as they stood in a circle on the grassy field of the backyard, they waited for Naruto to say something. Naruto was after all the one behind this training arrangement. "Ano?" Midori began shyly, which had Sakura think that Midori reminded her of Sakura, which annoyed her. Midori was not a shy and kind girl like Hinata, she was a devil spawn in Sakura's opinion. "Teika, why are you here?" Midori asked. Naruto faked being hurt by that comment as he answered, "Don't ya want me here, Ujo?" Midori shook her head quickly. "No, I didn't mean it like that. I mean," she stopped as she noticed Naruto began laughing loudly while Sakura giggled. "Teika." She growled. Naruto composed himself. "Sorry, Ujo. I'm here for two reasons." Midori and Mikoto stared at Naruto, both curious to hear what reasons he had to help her train. "One, I want to help you become chuunin, because..." Naruto settled for that explanation, but Mikoto wanted to hear the full reason. "Because..." she asked. Naruto nodded. "Because..." Once again that was all they were getting. Mikoto's sweat dropped as she asked, "And the second reason?" Naruto chuckled. "It would please me to see Ujo beat the shit out of Grunt of the Uchiha clan." Mikoto nursed her forehead and sighed. "As I thought," she mumbled while Midori saluted Naruto. "Hi, Teika. I will do my best." Meanwhile, Sakura was staring at Midori with narrowed eyes. Midori had threatened to beat her up yesterday when she had called Sasuke a runt. Why was Naruto allowed to talk that way about him and not her? She knew that she and Midori was far from friendly with each other, but still. Sakura's eyes then widened as she realized why Midori treated them differently. It was obvious when you thought about it. Midori noticed Sakura's eyes on her and she did not like it. "But why?" As Midori's pointed at Sakura and spoke in a tone of disgust. She asked Naruto, who turned his head in a bored manner towards Sakura. "Yeah," he began. "She ain't much as she..." "Shut up, sensei," Sakura snapped comically. "My utter disappointment of a student," Naruto continued as he closed his eyes and grinned. Sakura gritted her teeth. "I will cut you, sensei," she said, grabbing the hilt of her sword. When Naruto heard Sakura say that line, he for some reason felt like going on an adventure with a purple-haired beauty. He shook his head as if trying to shake away that thought before speaking again. "She is here because she is my student and my plan is to train the both of you." Midori accepted that explanation. "I understand, Teiko. Naruto then turned to Mikoto again. Mother of Uchiha, he spoke, which had Mikoto's eyebrows start twitching. It's Mikoto, shears pond. Naruto raised an eyebrow at first but chose to ignore it. I would like to ask you to also help me train Sakura while I train Midori. I'm sure there are things that you are far more better to teach than I am. I have no problem with that since you have offered to help Midori-chan. Mikoto answered with a kind smile. Right, Midori-chan. She turned to her daughter who scowled and responded tch. This had both Naruto and Mikoto stare at her with wide eyes and open mouths. They had never seen her act like that. Scratching the back of his head, Naruto spoke to all of them. Me and Muko. Mika. Naruto tried to remember Mikoto's name, which had both Sakura and Midori giggle while Mikoto glared at him. Miko-cho. Naruto tried as he stared at Mikoto, who yelled, "It's Mikoto. Back at them." Naruto smiled and pointed at her right. He said, dragging out the word, "We'll train the both of you this month. It won't be easy training. At the end of each day after we have trained you to your limits, y'all will face each other in a spar where I want you both to go all out. If you happen to hurt each other, I will heal you." Naruto then grinned in a way that kind of scared all of them. "Then you can get right back to it." Both Midori and Sakura shivered as they realized just how hard this training would turn out to be. Mikoto noticed how their expressions changed and knew somewhat what they were thinking. She smiled as she spoke, then it settled. "Should we start with a spar to see where they both stand ass off now?" she asked, turning to Naruto, who just nodded. "Are you both ready?" Mikoto asked. "Hi, sensei." Both Midori and Sakura answered as they jumped apart from each other to stare each other down from a distance. That was the start of their month of training before the chuunin exams. 1 month later, it was 1 hour before the matches would begin. Naruto was at the stadium, standing next to Hiruzen in a balcony-like box high up on the roof of the stadium. The Mizukage, Mei, and the Raikage had requested Naruto's presence during the matches as they both had things to discuss with him. Tsunade and Hiruzen had then agreed to have Naruto as their bodyguard. He was joined by Yojao, who would be their second bodyguard. As of now, he was alone with Hiruzen on the balcony, waiting for the leaders of all the villagers to join them. Even though Hiruzen was no longer the cage of Konoha, he was expected to be there and no one had any objection to that. The seats in the audience was also slowly filling up, even though it was an hour left until the first match would begin. "How did the training go?" Hiruzen asked as he took a seat in a chair that was in the middle of the others. Naruto took his position standing behind Hiruzen's chair and the one next to it where Tsunade would sit once she had arrived. "A lot better than I had anticipated. I have to admit I'm a little impressed by them," Naruto answered in an unusually serious tone. Hiruzen nodded. "Midori-chan has always been a great talent. I'm not surprised, yes. Bijo showed me last year that she had what it takes to be strong." Naruto began, then he chuckled. "But she is not the one that has impressed me." "Oh?" Hiruzen responded with curiosity. "Haruno. Sakura. I don't think anyone that will show up to watch these matches has any expectations on her. Most have probably overlooked her completely." Naruto spoke, which had Hiruzen nod in agreement. "Go on," Hiruzen said. Naruto grinned. "She has taken well to my training. She is a quick learner and has very few weaknesses. Her weaknesses won't matter in fights against opponents of this low level. Sakura's main weakness was her body strength and her other weakness was their small chakra reserves. Naruto would have to fix that, but 1 month was too short of a time to do so. Instead, he helped Sakura improving other things." Hiruzen chuckled. "You sound confident in your student." He was also glad that he had taken on Sakura as a student, not because it was Sakura. He was glad because Naruto had created more bonds with people in the village, which would help keep him here and maybe someday decide to take over the Hokage hat from Tsunade. I'm confident in the both of them. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up facing each other in the final match," Naruto explained. "That's good to hear, but first they have to get through their first opponent. Both of their opponents are favorites to win it all." Hiruzen started. "How do you think Midori will fare against her brother Sasuke?" Naruto chuckled darkly as he remembered the day he decided to go spy on Kakashi and Sasuke. Flashback, it was the second day of training when Naruto had decided to go spy on Kakashi and Sasuke. Naruto was not really interested in knowing off his skills. He had another reason to be here. He wanted to give them a message. Naruto had found them outside of the village in an area surrounded by mountains, which gave them their privacy. For Naruto, this was perfect in case they would sense his presence. If they did, he would just have to get rid of them without any witnesses. In one of the large stone walls of the mountain there was a few holes which had most likely been caused by a jutsu Sasuke had trained in. Currently Kakashi was instructing Sasuke how to wield and use a sword. Naruto laughed at how bad Sasuke was at it and the thought that maybe Kakashi was preparing Sasuke to fight someone that was not Midori, someone that was known for his swordsmanship. Naruto could not help himself as he laughed out loud at the thought of the Uchiha's training to fight him at his art. This had both Kakashi and Sasuke turn their attention to the spot where he hid. Naruto figured he had been found out and made his presence known as Heshou himself. He waved to them then walked over to them slowly as they stared at him. Sasuke took a fighting position as he saw Naruto while Kakashi stared at Naruto in mild amusement. "I guess I have been found out, Uchihas," Naruto said with a chuckle. "Well, you didn't do much to hide your presence," Kakashi said with an eye smile. "May I ask why you are here spying on us by the look of things?" "You needn't know," Naruto answered as he grinned widely, a grin Kakashi recognized as his whole body tensed. "Sasuke, back me up," he ordered. Sasuke nodded as he grabbed a kunai. "Yo-ho-ho." Naruto laughed as he stopped walking. He unsealed his sword from a scroll then unsheathed it from its scabbard. He stared into their eyes as he spoke in a threatening tone, "There is no Hokage here to save you now." As Kakashi and Sasuke stared into his blue eyes they saw the black irises change for a split second as they turned into slits. Naruto had learned to control this power that forced whoever was staring into high seas to see a vision of a future Naruto would give them if he so wished. It was a power Naruto had received from Kurama. At first he had no control over it, but now as they worked together for the same purpose, Kurama had helped him control it. It wasn't a jujutsu like the Sharingan, it was simply a genjutsu that Naruto could only use on people that had less chakra than himself. Considering that Naruto was a contender for the person with the most chakra in the world, that meant he could use it on pretty much anyone he wanted to. As Kakashi and Sasuke stared into his blue eyes with the dark slit as four irises they were then forced to see a vision of themselves being cut down by Naruto. Sasuke saw Naruto pierce the tip of his sword through the front of his neck. Kakashi saw Sasuke lie dead next to him while Naruto came from above cutting his whole body in half starting from his shoulder. When the visions ended both Kakashi and Sasuke found themselves in their knees breathing heavily as Naruto stood before them with the same evil grin on his face. "I could kill you both like ants if I wanted to, Dadabia." Kakashi narrowed his eyes at Naruto as he tried to compose himself a little. "Naruto, why are you doing this?" he asked in a dangerous tone as he prepared to fight back. "Hey, take Kakashi," Naruto said staring into Kakashi's eyes. Kakashi didn't back down as he stared back. "Why do you have the Sharingan?" Naruto asked. Sasuke, who had started breathing normally, turned to Kakashi wanting to hear the story as well since Kakashi had never told him or anyone else in their team how he acquired it. Kakashi gave Naruto no answer. Instead he glared back at him. "If you don't stand down I will be forced to fight you," he warned. Naruto grinned. "But I want you to fight me. Like I have told you, the Hokage is not here to save you." Naruto meant Hiruzen when he said Hokage, "and if I wanted to you would already be dead. You think you can take us both?" Sasuke asked with a confident smile as he activated his Sharingan. "Sasuke." Kakashi spoke in a low tone as if to warn him. Naruto chuckled. "I could, but I will not kill you today." Naruto then resheathed his sword and instead unsealed a bottle of sake that he carried in his hand. Naruto took a sip of his sake as Kakashi stared at him and thought, he is basically saying that he will kill us as soon as either of us gives him a reason to do so. "Then why are you here?" Sasuke yelled in a demanding tone. Naruto frowned at Sasuke not liking the tone he was using. "Loli Uchiha scum," he thought before answering. He smiled widely again, but a friendlier smile this time. "I just wanted to let you know that I will be helping your sister in her training over the month." Kakashi sweat dropped. "He's just messing with us," he realized. "Midori?" Sasuke asked loudly. "Why would you train her? She is weak." Naruto snorted as he turned to walk away. He turned his head to look at them and said, "I find you too unpleasant. I will not litter the likes of you any longer." "Right back at ya," Kakashi responded. As Naruto turned to continue walking away, Sasuke yelled at him, "Who the hell do you think you are? I'm not gonna take that shit and let you get away with it. No one treats me this way and gets away with it." Sasuke stood up and walked towards Naruto enraged. Naruto turned and stared at Sasuke with a frown. "It's like I have been told, you Uchihas can't take a joke." Sasuke yelled comically. Naruto did a one-handed sign as he spit on the ground before disappearing in a shunshin idiots. He heard his voice echo as headies appeared from their view. Kakashi sighed as he made his way over to Sasuke. Sasuke, don't let him get to you, he's just bored. Sasuke was furious. He felt as if Naruto was mocking him. He vowed that he would show Naruto and everyone else just how strong he was in the finals. Maybe that would make Naruto think twice before it decides to ridicule him again. End flashback. Naruto had told Sasuke and Kakashi what he wanted that day. Thathay was going to train Midori. He was not impressed by Sasuke and the way he acted under pressure, to say the least. I have no doubt that Midori will defeat the runt, Naruto said when he was done chuckling at the memory. I look forward to seeing your students fight. Hiruzen said when he noticed the leaders of the other villages and Tsunade approaching them. Tsunade, dressed in the Hokage robe and wearing the Hokage hat, had Yojeo next to her, who was wearing her umbu clothes and cat mask as per usual. The Raikage came alone as he felt no need for a bodyguard. If anyone came at him, he would deal with them personally. Baki, the acting Kaze Cage, had Gaara next to him. Baki was more of Gaara's bodyguard than the other way around. The Mizu Cage, Mei, had her blue-haired advisor Ao next to her. She also had a blue-haired boy who appeared to be younger than Naruto next to her as another bodyguard. His name was Kojuro, a sword user who had climbed in the ranks in the Mist Village just as fast as Naruto had in Konoha. The last leader was the Tsuchikage, who had, just like the Raikage, decided to show up without any bodyguards. Kitsuki was in the audience with his two students that failed to advance to the finals, Bell and Endo. The Tsuchikage was the first to greet Hiruzen and Naruto as he stomped over to them. You are here early, you old goat, he said to Hiruzen, who chuckled. That's because I don't need someone else's help to get out of bed. Unaki ignored that comment in favor of staring at Naruto. I see ya, bra. The Namikaze brat as they requested. Naruto nodded towards the small man in greeting. Tsuchikage Dono, Unaki snorted in response. Take your respect and stick it up your arse, as he took his seat furthest to the left. Tsunade was the next to approach them, with Yojeo walking next to her. She sat down in the chair to Hiruzen's right. Morning, Sarutobi sensei, she said, not even giving Naruto a glance. Morning, Hokage-sama, Hiruzen said respectfully, which had Tsunade chuckle. You know there is no need to call me that, sensei-o, but there is. You're the Hokage and I'm not, Hiruzen stated. Yojeo was now standing directly behind Tsunade next to Naruto. She glanced at Naruto and Naruto could have sworn she was glaring at him through that mask. He was rocketed out of that thought as Thera made his presence known. He had slammed his hand hard on Naruto's back and laughed. So you decided to show up, you damn brat. Naruto scowled. Are you looking for a fight, bastard? Hey. Just laughed heartily in response, ignoring the threat as he took his seat to the left of Hiruzen. So he sat in the middle of Hiruzen and Unaki. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on the fights we will see today. Baki and Gaara was quieter as they made their way to their seats, which was next to Tsunade to her right. Gaara did give Naruto a nod of acknowledgement as he passed him and showed him that he had hid a bottle of sake under his shirt. Mei was the last one to take her seat, and that was because she was standing in the back staring at Naruto. Naruto noticed her stare and Gan chose to stare back at her, not to let her intimidate him. Mai smiled as she walked up to him until she was standing right in front of him. You will do, she stated before passing him to go to her seat to Gaara's right. Naruto responded in confusion. All he got in answer was Mai jiggling at him, which had Naruto think, this is going to be a long day, already regretting that he agreed to accompany Hiruzen and Tsunade at the cage box. Once all the cages were seated, it was almost time for the first match to begin. The first match was between two Konoha Genins, Rock Lee and Nara Shikamaru. The first match between Rock Lee and Nara Shikamaru had just ended. Shikamaru had shown a great ability on how to avoid fighting. He had dodged Rock Lee's punches and kicks until he had enough time to form a plan to trap Lee with his shadow binding technique of I's clan. Once Lee was trapped, he had opened the first inner gate, which had Shikamaru realize that he would not be able to hold back Lee for long. Therefore Shikamaru gave up before he would end up taking a beating. After the match, both Lee and the spectators had been confused, but soon enough Lee was celebrating while the audience cheered him on. Shikamaru was slowly making his way towards the stairs that would take him to the audience so he could dose of while the others could do the fighting. In the cage box, Naruto was staring at Shikamaru with a twitching eyebrow. Meanwhile Hiruzen was explaining to the others why he was impressed by Shikamaru even though he had lost. Naruto ignored Hiruzen's explanation in favor of bursting out. You should have let me kill that beast when I asked for permission, then we wouldn't have to deal with his spawns. Naruto was referring to the time he asked asked Hiruzen for permission to kill Matogai before their spar. Naruto's outburst confused the other people in the cage box with the exception of Hiruzen and somewhat Tsunade, who understood what he meant. Tsunade was not happy with his little outburst, however. She turned her body around and faced Naruto with a glare. "Do not speak out of place again," she said in a warning tone. Naruto frowned but kept quiet as he was told as Tsunade returned her focus on the arena. The upcoming fight is the hyped up one between the Uchiha siblings, if I recall correctly. The Raikage spoke with a grin. He had, just like most people in the stadium, been looking forward to see this match between two of the last members of the famous Uchiha clan. Hiruzen was the one to answer. "No, Raikage Dano, there is a match between two Konoha genins before that." The Raikage almost snorted out a laughter. "I doubt it will be an interesting fight if I forgot about their match. I think you may have to eat those words up," Tsunade said, glancing at "because my student Uzumaki Tewa, when I heard this high seas widened, will go up against Hyuga Niji Hyuga against the student of the Hokage." I said with interest. "Well damn, now this match has my full attention." "So the famous slug princess has taken on a student. Uzumaki Tewa, was it?" Unaki asked curiously. Tsunade nodded. "She is my student, but I'm not the only one training her," she answered, leaving it at that without any further explanation. "Konoha has a lot of promising genins, but it won't matter in the end since they will all be defeated by my granddaughter, Kuratsuki," Unaki spoke with a confident smile. As the match was about to begin, Tsunade mirrored that confident smile and said, "I wonder if you will be as confident in your granddaughter after watching this match. We shall see," Unaki responded, sounding a bit irritated. Hiruzen's sweat dropped as he sat in between the two, and Thera Ikage was in the same boat, thinking along the lines of, "It's your students fighting, not you two." Hiruzen turned to speak to Naruto, who seemed to be staring at Niji with squinted eyes. "What do you think, Naruto? Who is your favorite to win?" Naruto ignored the question in favor of asking a question of his own. "I thought Imuto-san didn't make it to the finals, yet there she is." He pointed at Niji. "Why is that?" Hiruzen found it hard to hold back a laugh as he spoke. "Naruto, that's Hyuga Niji, a boy who is 1 year older than yourself. Hanabi-chan did not make it to the finals just as you said," he explained. "Oh." Naruto responded in a bored tone. Hiruzen once again sweat dropped, regretting to have tried to bring Naruto into their conversation in the first place. "Why did I even bother?" When the match finally started, Tewa wasted no time. She had a plan and executed it perfectly. She displayed that she, just as her teacher Tsunade, was able to fight in taijutsu with that inhuman strength that Tsunade was famous for. She had used her chakra-enhanced strength to fight Niji in taijutsu while creating clones to distract him. Niji usage of the Hyuga clan's techniques such as Kaiden proved to be futile as Tewa stood as the victor after less than a minute. Unaki was impressed by Tewa's skill, but he was still confident that Kuratsuki could defeat her. Kuratsuki was a one-of-a-kind genius kunoichi that only appeared once in a generation. She was an natural talent who he and his son, Kitsuki, had trained from early age. If not for her short-fused temperament and playful personality, she would have been the model of a perfect kunoichi. Naruto grinned as he stared at the cheering Tewa, who was overwhelmed with the applause of the audience. She had not shown much of what she was capable of at all, but she had shown that she was far stronger than the rank she currently held, Genin. He looked forward to seeing her fight against either Midori or Sakura, knowing that both of his students would force Tewa to show more than that. "That's impressive," spoke almost speechless after the fight. He expected much of her after hearing she was your student, Hokage. But this. She was levels above her opponent, a Hyuga no less. Even Hiruzen was a little surprised after the fight, even if he was aware of all the teachers Tewa had. Niji was a genius that graduated as the Rookie of the year before Tewa and Theodoros. He had learned techniques of the Hyuga clan that usually took years for even a prominent main branch Hyuga. Seeing that Tewa had improved this much in only a year made Hiruzen even more curious to find out how much Midori and Sakura had improved after a month of training with Naruto. Tsunade smiled proudly as she stared at Tewa, who was making her way towards the stairs that would take her to the balcony where other participants waited. Tewa held back. "She has far more to show us than that." The next match was to begin soon after that. The audience cheered loudly as the Uchiha siblings entered the stadium. This match was the highlight of the tournament for most of the spectators. There was a very noticeable change in Midori that everyone that knew her was surprised to see. It was the way she was dressed. Her clothes looked almost exactly the same as the ones Naruto had worn last year in the finals. She was dressed in dark blue pants and a dark blue shirt. The flower drills that Kushina had added to Naruto's outfit last year was there on both pants and shirt. On her arm sleeves high up just under her shoulders she had the symbol of the Uzumaki clan. On the front side of her shirt was a large symbol of the Senju clan. On her back she wore a small fan which was the symbol of the Uchiha clan. The symbol of the Uchiha clan was smaller than both two Uzumaki swirls and the Senju symbol. There was a few other differences such as the pants and shirt she wore being skin tight instead of the more baggier clothes Naruto would use. But the most noticeable difference was that she had a sword strapped to a belt around her waist. Uchiha Sasuke had opted for a darker outfit as his clothes was almost all black. And he is wearing the same outfit as in the chuunin exams in the anime. The spectators waited eagerly for the match to begin as the siblings had a chat with each other moments before the match would start. It was the usual, Sasuke taunting his sister and trying to rile her up. This time it did not work out as Midori stayed calm and ignored him. The Proctor Genma announced the start of the match soon after that. At first they fought using taijutsu, hand-to-hand combat, and basic ninja tools such as shuriken and kunao. They were evenly matched so far. Their fight got more intense as both Uchihas activated Thedojutsu that their clan was famous for, the Sharingan. With the Sharingan activated it didn't take long until they moved on to a battle using ninjutsu. Once they started using ninjutsu more and more differentness between the siblings' way of fighting showed. Something that had been a great surprise for Naruto during his training of Midori was to find out that she had a strong affinity for both fire and water, with water being the strongest, something that was not the norm for an Uchiha. Naruto himself had a strong affinity for the water element and thus had many techniques to teach Midori. Some of those techniques Midori used in the fight to counter Sasuke's many fire techniques. Midori had the upper hand in the battle and Sasuke was not happy with that. He decided to try out his new sword that he had been training with for the past month, similar to how Midori had trained with her own sword. Midori smirked when she saw Sasuke unsheath his sword, which made Sasuke frown as he stopped his movements to stare at her in thought. He knew that she had been trained by Naruto, who was arguably Konoha's best sword user. HN. Sasuke exclaimed confidently as he charged towards Midori, who had yet to draw her sword. Sasuke thought it would be interesting to find out which one of them had become the best swordsman. They had started training using a sword about the same time. As Midori saw Sasuke charge towards him, her eyebrows started twitching. Everything played out exactly the way Naruto had told her. Even the way Sasuke charged towards her and the speed was something Naruto had shown her before and how she should react to it. Midori grabbed her sword as she started blurring out of the view of Sasuke and the others. She disappeared in gust of wind and leaves as she had used a shunshin to get in front of Sasuke. Sasuke had seen her movements with the help of the Sharingan, but he was notable to block her attack. Shunshin. Teleportation, Midori spoke as she held the handle off her sword with both hands, pointing the tip of the sword at Sasuke's throat. She had yet to execute the technique and therefore did not speak the full name of it. Give up, Midori said before her tone changed as she almost spat out. Oni-san. Sasuke was shocked. He never would have imagined something like this would happen. He had no choice but to give up, since he had no way to get out of this without Midori's sword cutting through his skin, which would most likely kill him. Just as Sasuke was about to give up, he heard a voice speak to him inside his, while at the same time he felt the curse mark on his shoulder start aching. Meanwhile, with the cages and Naruto up, Naruto said as he stared with a deadpan expression down at the arena grounds, "I knew Joe would win, but I thought the runt had more fight in him than that." The runt. The Raikage questioned, "You mean Uchiha Sasuke?" Naruto nodded. "The runt of the Uchiha clan." "Never mind," I responded while sweat dropping, "but I agree. I also expected more from him. Don't forget that the girl is also an Uchiha and she fought flawlessly. I wonder how Konoha has managed to bring up so many strong genin from the same generation," Unaki added. Midori is very talented, and training under Naruto for the past month has only made her stronger. Hiruzen spoke to Unaki, who frowned as he heard that she was trained by the Namikaze brat. He thought before he replied to Hiruzen. She got lucky as all the other cages shook their heads at Unaki's antics. He had praised Midori before he knew that she had been trained by Naruto. While Mei and Tsunade spoke their opinions of the fight, the Proctor Genma was about to call it. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he saw a few changes happening to Sasuke. At first he had noticed his chakra changing. Then he saw Sasuke hold his shoulder as if in pain. Focusing his eyes on Sasuke's shoulder, he saw that his skin was getting covered by black marks. In Sasuke's other hand, lightning began sparking. With Midori and Sasuke, Midori as well had noticed that something was off. She was aware of high-pitched sounds the blue electricity in Sasuke's right hand was making. She realized she had two choices, jump backhandage or stick the sword into Sasuke's neck, something she wanted to avoid. She chose the first choice, which was to jump back and avoid whatever technique Sasuke was using. That proved to be the wrong choice as she was not prepared for Sasuke's new speed. Sasuke was in front of her just a millisecond after she had jumped back. He had shoved his lightning technique straight into her stomach. Chidori! Sasuke yelled while Midori screamed out in pain as blood spilled out of her stomach. No, Sasuke! Mikoto's! Screamed from her spot in the audience was cheered by everyone in the stadium as she saw her son by the look of things killing her daughter. A second later Hatake Kakashi appeared next to Sasuke using Ashunshin. He looked furious. He quickly slammed his hand down on the back of Sasuke's head to knock him out. I warned you about using my technique against other Konoha ninjas, and I forbade you to draw upon that power, Kakashi growled at his unconscious student. That power was the power of the curse mark. Kakashi had reprimanded Sasuke after finding out that he had used the Chidori against Teiwa during the training exams before the exams. He was starting to regret teaching him the technique at all. Meanwhile with Naruto was about as angry as Kakashi. He found it hard to stay up there as he saw Ujo bleed from her stomach, a lethal wound unless she was treated soon by an expert medic such as Tsunade. Naruto had been given orders that he would under no circumstances interfere with the matches. That is the single reason he had yet to move. Monkey-sama. Naruto spoke with gritted teeth. Hiruzen knew somewhat what Naruto felt at the moment. Go heal her. Let me deal with Kakashi and Sasuke. When Hiruzen had finished talking, Naruto teleported next to Midori using the Hiraishin. He had of course marked her with a Hiraishin seal placed at her lower back. T-Tai. Naruto-kun. Midori spoke with tears in her eyes and blood spilling from her mouth. Naruto didn't respond as he wasted no time placing his hands closer to the wound and let his Senju chakra heal her. She had already lost a lot of blood and would surely die if it wasn't for his healing powers. The wounds closed up fast as Naruto was able to heal her enough to make sure that her life was no longer in danger. The wound would leave no scar thanks to his Senju chakra, but she wouldn't be able to fight anymore today as Naruto's Senju chakra was almost emptied after that. Meanwhile Genma was sighing as he was wondering what to do. Sasuke had won the fight but his teacher, Kakashi, had interfered before the match was called. Technically that meant that Midori should be the winner. Kakashi was carrying Sasuke as he walked over to Genma. Sasuke's disqualified, he said before disappearing in a shunshin. That made Genma's decision easier. Winner, Uchiha Midori, he announced to the very quiet and surprised crowd. The next to arrive in the arena was Shizune accompanied by 4 medic nins who carried a stretcher. Shizune thanked Naruto for his help with healing Midori. Shizune also told him that she would do her best to heal her, make sure she was ready to fight in the upcoming round. After watching Midori get carried out on a stretcher, Naruto made his way back to the cage box. Something that only a few people noticed, just before Naruto shunshined back to the cage, Biggs had used another one-handed hand sign. Well done, Naruto, Hiruzen said as Naruto returned to his spot behind his and Tsunade's chair. Thanks, Monkey-sama, Hiruzen ignored as the current cages snickered at his nickname. I told you I would deal with Kakashi and Sasuke. There is no need for you. Hiruzen was interrupted as Naruto spoke. You have nothing to worry about. Your dear Uchihas will not be killed by me today. Good. Hiruzen responded as Tsunade stared at them in confusion. What are you two talking about? Nothing of importance, right Naruto? Hiruzen responded. Naruto nodded right. Tsunade frowned. She did not like that Hiruzen and Naruto kept things from her. They had already kept the fact that Naruto was trained and working as Hiruzen's personally umbu last year from her. For now, Tsunade decided to drop the matter. It's time for your granddaughter's match. Tsuchikage Dano, she said. Unaki smiled. Yeah, I have no doubt that she will win. Who was she fighting again? Naruto was the one to answer. He grinned at Unaki as he did. My first student, Harano Sakura. If she's your student, Unaki scoffed, then I will enjoy seeing Kuratsuka destroy her. There sure are a lot of strong participants this time. Mei, who had been quiet for a while, said, it's no wonder that none of my genin made it to the finals. I have to disagree. Mizukage Dano, Naruto said with a chuckle and was about to explain why but stopped when he noticed Mei glaring at them. Did you just reject me? She said in a dangerous tone with an evil smile. Huh? Naruto responded. Mei's expression changed as her smile now appeared a lot nicer. There is something I need you to do for me, Naruto-kun. She then gave Kojuro a look that he knew as he brought her a piece of paper. Mei walked over to Naruto with the paper and a pen and said, I need you to sign this so I can give you the money for the bounties you brought me. After completing the mission with Shijiro in the distant country, they returned to the Mist Village to give a report to the Mizukage. On the way to the Mist Village, Naruto conveniently found a few missing nin formerly from the Mist Village. He brought their dead bodies with him so he could collect their bounties. Naruto nodded as he grabbed the pen and paper, only for the paper to get snatched out of his hands by Tsunade. Naruto stared in confusion at Tsunade as she glanced over the paper quickly. She hummed before saying, go ahead and sign it. She then returned the paper to Naruto only for Hiruzen to snatch it the same way Tsunade had. Hiruzen didn't have to read much of it before he burned it with a fire technique. What the hell, monkey? Naruto yelled, that's my money you just burned, Databia. Hiruzen crossed his arms above his chest and muttered, there was nothing written about any bounties on that paper. Oh. Hiruzen nodded, it was a marriage contract between you and Themi's Yukage, not to mention the other things such as you becoming a ninja under her command and having to move to the Mist Village. Naruto's eyebrows twitched in annoyance as he turned to Mei, who still stood next to him. You tricked me, he said in an excusing tone. Tehi. Mei stuck out her tongue and did the peace sign with her right hand, then returned to her seat, leaving an irritated Naruto glaring at her back. Tsunade snorted, you should have signed it, that way there would be one less pervert to deal with in Konoha. Your words hurt me so. Naruto said as he bent down and leaned close to Tsunade to whisper, you have been so cold towards me lately. Tsunade shivered as Naruto spoke. Is it because I haven't paid attention to you lately? Naruto continued as he grinned. He reached his arms around her and started fondling her breasts through her clothes. Mei glared at Tsunade as she saw it, while Hiruzen, Beiki, and looked on with open mouths, their jaws dropping and their eyes bulging out of their eye sockets. They all had similar thoughts. Yogurt balls, kid. Gaara gave them a glance before nodding and closing his eyes. Masterful, Senju-kun, he thought. Your tits. Naruto screamed as he was interrupted by Tsunade, who stood up and slung Naruto above her as she threw him out of the cage box down towards the arena. Tsunade wanted to toil at him, but she stopped herself since she did not want the attention of the people in audience on them. Hopefully not many had seen what had just happened. Sakura and Kurotsuki, who had just introduced themselves to each other, saw the whole thing. Kurotsuki had told Sakura that she was the granddaughter of the Tsuchikage, while Sakura had told Kurotsuki that she was the student of Naruto. Nice teacher you got there. That damn Namikaze spawn is lower scum than I thought. Kurotsuki spoke to Sakura, who was cheering. Chap. Way to go, sensei. She then turned towards Kurotsuki and smiled smugly. Only sensei could do something like that. TCH, Kurotsuki responded, then turned to Genma. Start the match already. Meanwhile, with Kakashi and Sasuke, Kakashi had taken Sasuke to one of the changing rooms. As soon as Sasuke had woken up, Kakashi had started scolding him. This is the second time that you have gone against my orders, Kakashi said as he gripped Sasuke's wrist hard. Let go off me. Sasuke yelled. Kakashi did what Sasuke asked and was about to leave. I want to see Sakura's fight. Even though I have spent most time training you, I still care about my other students. Sasuke gave no answer in return, so Kakashi decided to leave with one last comment. I'm starting to regret focusing my teaching on you. When Kakashi was about to leave the room, he was stopped. Ash ran into Naruto, who stood in the door to the changing room. Naruto scratched his back sheepishly. My apologies for interrupting your private time. Kakashi eyebrows twitched at that comment, but he composed himself. What are you doing here, Naruto? He asked in a friendly tone. I'm here to tell the runt a few things. Naruto pointed at Sasuke with his thumb as he spoke. Kakashi sighed. Considering what happened a month ago, I don't know if that's wise. Yeah. Naruto laughed weakly. Well, let me put it this way. Naruto grinned the way that always had people get uneasy. Either you let me talk to him, undisturbed, or... Naruto began laughing like a madman. You don't want to know the second option, Kakashi? Frowning, Kakashi asked. You're not going to kill him, right? No. Naruto said simply in a bored tone. I'm afraid the monkey haven't given me permission to do so yet. Kakashi sighed. I suppose you two can talk, but I would like to stay. I'm sure you understand why. Sasuke, while being a bit nervous about this whole thing, had no objections. He was curious to find out why Naruto wanted to talk to him. Naruto frowned at Kakashi. If he had gone himself instead of sending a clone, he would have already forced him out of the changing room. I heard a disgusting rumor about the two of you, Naruto said. A rumor? What's this about? Kakashi asked. Naruto chuckled. How you and the runt are more than teacher and student. You two are always seen together, an inseparable couple. Sasuke choked on his spit and started coughing while Kakashi stared at Naruto with wide eyes. Naruto, I assure you there is no truth in that, oh. Naruto said with a raised eyebrow before pointing towards the door. Then get the fuck out. With a sigh, Kakashi walked out the door. Just don't do anything stupid. With Kakashi out of the room, Naruto made his way over to Sasuke, who stared at Naruto with twitching eyebrows. I'm not gay. I don't care, Naruto responded as he sat down next to Sasuke. He grinned widely as he brought his hand and placed it on top of Sasuke's head. Sasuke stared at Naruto in fear and confusion. What are you going to do me? Don't fight it, Naruto answered with a loud evil laugh as Sasuke feared what would happen to his butt. Moments later they were brought into Naruto's mindscape. Naruto had brought him to one of the dark narrow paths of Thesura where Kurama rested. They were still far enough away from Kurama that Sasuke would not be able to see him. He could however sense his chakra. That only served to scare him more than he already was. Sasuke clenched his butt cheeks and yelled, I'm not into this kind of thing. Naruto. Sweat dropped. What are you talking about? He asked as ATV suddenly materialized next to Naruto. I'm going to show you a memory of mine, Naruto explained as Sasuke stared at the TV in confusion. As the memory started showing, Sasuke saw Naruto and his mother, Mikoto, naked in one of the showers of their home. Naruto laughed sheepishly. Oops, wrong memory, was that my mom? Sasuke yelled in a tone that demanded answers as another Uchiha appeared on the screen. He was older than Sasuke and wore the colors of Akatsuki, a black robe with red clouds. Itachi. Sasuke growled. Naruto paused the video of his memory. Hi, Uchiha Itachi. I'm going to tell you a little secret about him. I don't want to hear anything about him. Sasuke spat. What I'm about to tell you is something I haven't even told Ijo or Io, your mother, Naruto began. Why? Sasuke asked. Because I care about them. I don't want to bring them any trouble. Naruto stopped as he narrowed his eyes at Sasuke. I can't stand to it, though. That is why I'm going to reveal to you the truth about what happened and why Itachi massacred your clan. The memory played once again through the screen as Sasuke watched intently as Itachi spoke to Naruto. Meanwhile at the stadium, Sakura and Kurotsuka's fight had just ended. They had to the surprise of everyone there given them a show that was even more impressive than the earlier ones. This had not been a genin level fight. It looked more like two jounins fighting each other. Sakura had shown that she was able to use most of Naruto's sword techniques. While she may not be as fast, strong or deadly as Naruto, she was still proficient using his techniques. She had also used Yojo's techniques, which were far more flashier than Naruto since most of his techniques are quick draw. But even after showing how much she had improved, she had fallen to Kurotsuka, who beat her with her bloodline limit, lava release. Before using lava release, she had shown that she could use at least 3 of the basic elemental types, which was fire, earth, and water. While both of them was exhausted after the fight, thankfully neither of them got seriously hurt. Sakura would still need a little medical treatment for some of her wounds and burn marks, but it was nothing that Shizune couldn't heal within minutes. Kurotsuka was mostly fine. She just needed to rest for her upcoming match to catch her breath and restore some of her chakra. They had received loud cheers and applause from the audience after the fight. Everyone there was impressed by how skilled they were and how hard they fought. Naruto, who now stood a bit further away from Tsunade's chair but still behind Hiruzen's chair, smiled at his student. Even though she had lost, she had showed everyone that she worked hard to improve. He was glad that none of the wounds Sakura received was on her back. He had told her many times that a wound on your back is the aim of a swordsman. Never show your enemy your back. Wow, you weren't exaggerating, Tsuchikage Dano. She is strong, Tsunade said with wide eyes. Unaki nodded, sounding a bit surprised himself. I never expected her to have to use lava release against another genin. There sure are a lot of chuunin candidates this time. Mei spoke her thoughts. He chuckled. It makes you wonder what they would have shown us last year if it wasn't for a certain someone. Oh? What happened last year? Unaki asked in a curious tone. Hiruzen saw this as a great chance to brag about one of Naruto's achievements. They were all eliminated by the same person in these conned part of the exams along with most other participants. Are you telling me they were all defeated by the same person? Unaki asked. Naruto began chuckling, which had Unaki turn to him and raise any eyebrow. Don't tell me it was you. Naruto blushed and scratched the back of his head guilty, which had Mei stand up and yell kawaii. Cute. Before running running up to Naruto and throw herself into hugging him. I have heard enough about last year, Unaki said with a snort. Tsunade agreed as she nodded slowly while she stared at Mei and Naruto with an irritated frown. It's almost time for the next match to start, Hiruzen said, ignoring what happened behind him. Hiruzen knew that it was expected that a few hussies would throw themselves at Naruto, cage or not. It's time for Rock Lee to fight again. I look forward to seeing what else he can do. Baki, who chose to ignore Mei's antics just as Hiruzen said. With Naruto's clone and Sasuke. Sasuke had been shown the whole memory of Itachi, telling Naruto everything about the Uchiha massacre. Itachi had told who hater-eared it and why it was ordered in the first place. Itachi had also mentioned that another Uchiha who was not part of the village had helped him. This. I can't believe this, Sasuke said in disbelief. You're just making this up, aren't you? He said in an accusing tone. If I were to make something up, Naruto said in an annoyed tone, I swear as hell wouldn't make an Uchiha the hero of the story. Sasuke's eyes widened in realization. That made sense. But then maybe what Naruto had shown him was the truth after all. Is this really what happened? He asked. It is. Naruto spoke with closed eyes before opening them and staring down Sasuke. Now listen well, grunt. Naruto then told Sasuke that he had already told the same story to Teiwa, who knew everything. Apart from Teiwa, he had yet to tell anyone else about this. He forbid Sasuke to tell anyone else about this and that he was to wait to take any action against the elders. Naruto would find him and then give him the orders. After Naruto's explanation, they found themselves back in the real world in the locker room. Before I leave, there is something that must be said, Naruto told Sasuke, who sat silently thinking over everything he had been told today. Naruto was about to unsheath his sword and point at Sasuke as he would threaten him, but Sasuke spoke first. Is this about what I did to Midori? Naruto nodded, which had Sasuke continue. I'm going to apologize to her. Yes. You will, Naruto interrupted her. You will get down on your knees and lick her shoes clean. She will expect nothing less as the princess of the mighty Uchiha clan. Naruto then roared out in laughter as he finally made his way out of that disgusting locker room. Senju joke. Sasuke heard Naruto scream between laughter. After talking to Sasuke, Naruto decided to check up on Midori and see how she was doing. Shizune, assisted by a few nurses, were working hard to heal Midori so she would be ready to fight in the semifinal against Teiwa. She was not allowed any visitors, so they kindly told Naruto to bugger off. Midori had another visitor, which was of course her mother, Mikoto. Mikoto thanked Naruto with a long hug before Naruto's clone dispelled and returned the memories to the original. In the stadium, the next fight had begun. Yamanaka Ino was up against Rock Lee, a match that proved to be very unfavorable for her. Lee was both stronger and faster than her, which proved to be enough to avoid Ino's attempts to get inside his mind with her clan's techniques. But Ino was not someone to give up easily. She tried for over 5 minutes to trap Lee, who was able to avoid all of it. The fight ended with Lee appearing in front of Ino with his in front of Ino's face, asking her to give up so he could avoid hitting her. Lee was not a fan of attacking girls. Ino could not believe her luck but figured she was beaten and gave Lee the win. Naruto was annoyed, but at the same time he was thinking that Themanai Beast might no be such a bad guy after all, since he had won without even touching Ino. After Genma announced Lee as the winner to the audience, he also announced that there would be a 10-minute break before the first semi-final match would start. This was a planned break, not something they decided just to give Midori more time to recover. Speaking of Midori, she was back in the competitors box together with the other 3 that was still in the tournament. Midori will be fighting in the first semi-final against Teiwa. The second semi-final are between the last 2 competitors, Kurotsuki and Lee. As the break started, Naruto started feeling a bit at unease. He had felt Kurene's glare on him for a while now. Why the hell was the Shed Evil unhappy now? He had not done anything that deserved danger. Was it that he felt Tsunade up? No, that was to be expected of him. It had to be something else, maybe Mei's flirting. Naruto thought on what could have made her angry with a thumb to his chin as the cages had a few comments to say about the latest match and the upcoming matches. That guy Lee sure has taken well to Mato Guy's training, eh? Thera Ikage spoke. Yes, he is far too much like Guy-san for my liking, Tsunade said with a sweat drop. Another contender to win the tournament, no doubt. Hiruzen added. Even Unaki was impressed by Lee and was a bit worried about how Kuratsuka would do against him. His speed and skill in taijutsu is very impressive for a genin. The next match should be interesting. The student of the Hokage against the younger Uchiha sibling who defeated her older brother Mei said with a smile, looking forward to the show. As they spoke, Midori had made her way back to the competitor's box. There she was immediately greeted by a cheerful Rock Lee. Yosh, Midori-san's flames of youth burns brightly. I hope you have recovered well, he said, giving her the nice guy pose. Midori almost jumped from the shock of that image. She calmed herself and gave him a fake smile and said with a twitching eyebrow, thanks, there is no need to worry. Lee-san, Teiwa turned to Midori with a confident smile, that's fucking good to hear. I expect you to give me a good fight then, bitch. Midori chuckled, I'm looking forward to our fight as well. Teiwa's eyebrows twitched, don't call me Chan. She yelled. Good luck to you as well, Teiwa-chan. Lee roared before giving her the same nice guy pose, irritating Teiwa even further. Meanwhile, Tsunade had to hold back a growl after hearing the other cages talk of the upcoming match. She had yet to say anything herself about it since she found it hard to not be partial. She wished for nothing more than for Teiwa to beat the little Uchiha girl and show her her place. While Tsunade had never told anyone or shout her hate of the Uchiha clan, she very much did hate them. The reason she had not shown any signs of hating them before was because her own clan was close to wiped out from the world while the Uchiha clan remained strong. That all changed a few years ago thanks to Ataki. Tsunade was staring at Teiwa, who seemed to notice her stares. Teiwa had seen that look on Tsunade before and knew what it meant. She was not allowed to lose her match or she would have to bear a full day of sparring against Tsunade. They should just take their clothes off so we can be the judges of who has the sexiest body, Naruto said with a nod as the cage's face faltered. The winner of the fight could also be decided by who has the biggest tits. Naruto nodded again. It seemed like a better way for women to fight than to hurt each other. Tsunade and even Mei glared at him while Yojeo was hovering behind him with a dark aura surrounding her. Hiruzen seemed to have moved his chair away from Naruto while they stared at Naruto with disbelief. How can you say something like that? I can't believe someone like you are popular with the ladies, he said before he jumped in his car as Yojeo slammed her fist down upon Naruto's head. Yes, even Thera Ikage feared the wrath of a raging woman. I told you this would happen. You are the one who wanted him here in the first place, Tsunade yelled, that damn misogynist pervert. Damn it. Yojeo, that hurt, Naruto said as he nursed the back of his head. Good. Was all Yojeo said, smiling behind her mask. Hiruzen sweat dropped. Naruto, I think it would be for the best if y'all leave as you command. Monkey-sama, Naruto said with a salute before disappearing in a shunshin. Unaki blinked as he couldn't believe what he just saw. Is he an idiot or something? He asked. Tsunade, Hiruzen, and Yojeo nodded at the same time that he is. Little did they know that Naruto had wanted to get away from there. The glares from Kurane was too much and he had found out what it was all about. So when he used the shunshin earlier to get away, he teleported to where Kurane sat in the audience, which happened to next to Kushina, Karen, Anko and Mikoto, who had returned moments ago. Naruto, Kushina said with a kind smile as she saw him, which was because she had not seen anything of what had happened in Thekage box. Shouldn't you be guarding the old monkey? She asked. Naruto shook his head. I was relieved of my duty, he answered before he walked up to Kurane and stuck his head close to hers. Kurane frowned with closed her eyes as she had her arms crossed above her chest. What's got you so angry, Kurane-chan? Don't think I didn't see what you did earlier, she said dangerously. Naruto's eyebrow rose. Oh, is that it? He then leaned in closer to whisper something in her ear. After that, Kurane's mood changed as he smiled and got out of her chair. She motioned for Naruto to sit, which he did. Kurane then sat down on his lap and hugged him. You're sexy when you're jealous, Kurane-chan, Naruto whispered, which caused Kurane to giggle before she kissed him. Kushina, Mikoto, and Anko all stared at them in annoyance, but they forgot about them as Teiwa and Midori had made their way down to the stadium grounds. The break was over as the first semi-final MATC was about to begin. Teiwa still had that same confident smirk as she stared down Midori, who was far from confident. Truth be told, she was exhausted even after being healed by Naruto and Shizune and her medical team. She figured she had to end this fight quickly. Win or lose, Genma announced the start of match, which had Midori leap into action as she ran towards Teiwa. Midori did a series of hand signs as Teiwa created a mass of shadow clones that filled the side of the arena where she stood. Katon. Gokakyu no Jutsu. Fire release, great fireball technique. Midori launched a huge fireball towards Teiwa and her clones. Some of the clones did get caught in it, but most of them along with the real Teiwa was able to get out of the fire. Midori had expected nothing less, but she was ready to catch Teiwa off guard this time as she launched ninja steel wire towards her. Teiwa, who had limited vision due to the fireball, was caught in it. Midori had, with the help of her Sharingan, already been able to tell which Teiwa was the real one. Katon. Hosenki no. Midori was interrupted as Teiwa used her strength to pull Midori towards herself with the steel wires that was meant to have caught her. Midori was already feeling tired and felt pain in her stomach just from this little. As Teiwa dragged Midori towards her and then slammed her fist into her face, Midori coughed before managing to utter the words "I give up." Winner Uzumaki Teiwa, Genma announced as the audience gave her their applause. Most had expected more of a fight, but at the same time they had to give Midori some slack after seeing Haralmost die earlier. After the fight, Teiwa returned to the competitors' box to observe the last semi-final match. Midori, on the other hand, was escorted out of the arena by Shizun, who was taking her to the hospital where she would stay for at least a few days, just to be safe. Meanwhile, at the seats where Naruto, Kurane, and the others are sitting, it has become very noisy. The reason for that is due to Kushina currently yelling at Naruto and Kurane, who had become a little too touchy out in public. It was fine before when they just kissed, but the grouping and humping had been too much. While Naruto ignored Kushina's scolding, Kurane felt a bit ashamed as she lowered her head. She decided that she didn't want to anger Kushina any further, so she found her own seat to sit at, for the time being. The second semi-final started soon after that. The match was the longest one so far, as Rock Lee and Kurotsuka showed everyone just what they could do. In the end, a very exhausted, battered and bruised Kurotsuka stood as the winner. She had withstood Lee's relentless punches and kicks even when he had opened the chakra gates. Seeing as she was able to somewhat keep up with Lee with his fourth gate open and push him back with techniques of her bloodline limit, lava release, Lee saw no other choice but to give up. Once again there would be a break before the final match. This time it was to give Kurotsuka a moment to recover and catch her breath. Teiwa, who would be her opponent, was impressed by Kurotsuka. She was not sure if she would be able to defeat Lee herself. But Teiwa knew that she had to beat Kurtsuchi, especially after what had been said between them earlier. Flashback, it was just before the first match of the day would start as all of the participants stood gathered in the competitors' box. You all look like pushovers. I hope the village leaders will allow my request to fight against the Namikaze once I have won the tournament. Kurotsuka spoke, then laughed at them as if mocking them. What did you say, bitch? Teiwa asked, cracking her knuckles. And why would you want to fight the fucking shithead? Kurotsuki ignored Teiwa's insult as she blinked. Shithead? She's confused. Is that what you call him around here? That's right, Dyke, Teiwa said with a chuckle. And you aren't going to fucking fight the shithead because I will win this tournament and then request a fight against him myself. What did you call me? Kurotsuki asked in a dangerous tone. It was not the first time she had been called a dyke or a tomboy due to her short hair. You heard me, flat chest, Teiwa responded, not backing an inch from Kurotsuki. With a tick mark on her forehead, Kurotsuki responded, you better get to the final match so I can kick your tree-hugging ass. Teiwa laughed, that's my line, dyke. End of flashback. Meanwhile, with Naruto, Naruto was bored out of his mind. He was sitting next to four beautiful ladies, and the time spent with them could be used so much better than to watch all the failures, also known as genin, fight against each other in a sandbox. I'm horny, Naruto moaned in a whiny way. Four heads turned to stare at him, three with surprise on was an angry glare. You keep that thing inside your pants, Naruto-kun. We will have plenty of time to fornicate once the chuunin exams are over, Kurane said in stern tone. Fornicate? You sound like an old hag, Naruto said while snickering. Could we change the subject? Kushina asked while thinking this could have been a great opportunity to sneak home with Naruto and take care of his problem. Mikoto was thinking of how she would thank him for saving Midorith next time Naruto comes over for ramen. Anko was not thinking of anything special. Instead, she stared at the bulge in Naruto's pants with wide eyes. What the hell had he stuffed in there, she thought. If You're bored, Kurane said with twitching eyebrows due to her noticing what Anko was looking at. Why don't you drink some of the sake you always have stored in the scrolls in your pocket? NGH. Naruto exclaimed loudly, I drank all of my sake and everything the old monkey had saved this past month. It was the only way I could deal with all of that crap. Kurane chuckled as she pulled out a small scroll that she had stored in between her breasts under her white blouse. Here, she said, and handed it over to him. Naruto stared at it as if to inspect it for a moment before he unsealed it. Once unsealed, a large bottle of sake appeared in a puff of smoke. Oh. Sweet, thanks Kurane-chan, I love you. Naruto yelled out excitedly as he pulled her into a hug before he started chugging the sake bottle. Meanwhile, Kurane stared at Naruto and stammered, I'll love you too. Kushina, Anko, and Mikoto stared at them with open mouths. Naruto noticed their stares and Kurane's loving stare at him. Naruto had not heard Kurane's stammering reply earlier and did not really realize what he had said himself. Having enough of their stares and dumb-looking faces, he said, I know I'm irresistible, but there is no need to make stupid faces. Databia at the same time as Naruto said that, Genma announced the start of final match. The final match was a long one, just like the previous match between Kurotsuki and Lee. Just the fact that Kurotsuki was able to fight another long fight right after the last one was impressive in itself. She even forced Teiwa to use chakra from the Sanbai, three-tailed turtle. It was long drawn-out fight where both Teiwa and Kurotsuki put on an impressive display. Teiwa showed of her skills using the shadow clones, her inhuman strength, and her ability to use the Uzumaki chakra chains. Kurotsuki performed a mass of mainly earth and lava release techniques. At one point Kurotsuki had Teiwa trapped, which was when Teiwa began using chakra from her Baijuyu. After that, a more powerful Teiwa took the upper hand and was able to seal the victory and win the whole tournament. Genma announced Teiwa as the winner of the match and the whole tournament to Thicrode. The people cheered for her loudly, but she chose to focus on something else instead. She had remembered what she and Kurotsuki had talked about earlier. That's why she is now healing Kurotsuki using medical jutsu so that she can help when the both of them fights against Naruto, if Kages agrees to it. Teiwa knows that she on her own won't be able to beat Naruto. After healing Kurotsuki for a minute or two, she helped the girl upon her feet. You fight well for a dyke, Teiwa complimented. Right back at ya, Kurotsuki said while smiling. If I'm gonna have a chance against the shithead, I will need your help, Teiwa said with smile. Kurotsuki mirrored it with a playful smile. I will be the one to kick his ass though. Teiwa chuckled. No, that's my job. Teiwa and Kurotsuki then turned to stare up against the village leaders sitting in the cage box. Tsunade was standing up as she was preparing to speak to the audience. As the winner of the tournament, I have a request to you old bums. She yelled. The whole stadium got quiet as no one could believe Teiwa had the guts to call the 5 cage that. Let me and her. She pointed at Kurotsuki, who nodded to the 5 cage while Teiwa continued. Fight the winner of the previous chuunin exam held in Konoha, Uzumaki shithead. She yelled out their request. Teiwa. Tsunade growled comically. Hiruzen held up his hand towards Tsunade as if to stop her. Sounds fun, let them at him, but sensei. This was not planned, Tsunade argued. I have to agree with Hiruzen Dano, it would surely be an entertaining fight. The Raikage spoke with a chuckle. I don't like being called a bum by a Konoha genin, however. Meanwhile, Beiki was nursing his forehead. The chuunin exams in Konoha sure got wild lately. Let them fight. Let sensei show me his passion. Gaara roared, which gained the crowd's attention as they roared with him. Mei nodded. As a punishment for his earlier remarks, how about we force him to fight shirtless? She suggested. Unaki was face palming. Damn it, Kurotsuki, I know this was your idea, you disrespectful, trouble-making brat, he thought. Tsunade sighed as she sat back down in her chair again. Fine, I will allow it this time. Meanwhile, with Naruto in the audience after the fight, Naruto had for a short moment golf clapped for Teiwa due to her great victory. After that, he had tried to quickly get out of the stadium as it was finally over. He ignored the commotion caused by Teiwa and later Gaara, who got the audience hyped. He was held back by Kushina, who told him, didn't you hear them? Teiwaken and the IWA Kunoichi has challenged Yuha. Naruto responded in a bored tone. Challenged me to what? Just listen, Naruto, Kushina said and pointed towards Hiruzen, who was about to speak. Dear spectators, me and the 5 cages have decided to honor their quest of the tournament winner. You will now have the privilege to see a fight against 2 recent winners of the chuunin exams. Hiruzen announced to the crowd. Hiruzen then tried to find Naruto in the audience. Once his eyes settled on him, he yelled, "Get down there and fight, shitty brat." Everyone's eyes were on Naruto after that outburst from Hiruzen. Naruto, however, was as confused as ever. He stared at Hiruzen with a look of pure confusion. "This is not part of the chuunin exams. Since the days of my forefathers it's never been done," Naruto said. "Your forefathers?" Kushina questioned. "What do you even know of our family?" Naruto chose not to answer that. Silly woman, she shouldn't question his knowledge of his honorable heritage, he thought. But the old monkey's stare along with every single other person in the stadium was starting to bug him. "What the hell is it?" he yelled comically. "What's the matter, shithead? You chicken?" Teiwa shouted at him from the ground. It had an immediate effect as Naruto's expression turned sour as he stared back at Teiwa. He responded. Kurotsuki was next. "What's the matter? Are you afraid?" Namikazuskam. Naruto's eyebrows started twitching uncontrollably as he grabbed Akunao with the hiration marks on it. He threw it down at them, fast enough so they almost didn't have a chance to dodge it. Even if they hadn't moved, it would have landed just beside them. Naruto then disappeared from his spot, his movements appearing as a blur. Hathan reappeared in between the girls down on the ground. Teiwa gulped. Naruto had moved so fast that if he wanted to, he could have decided the match right there. She was not ready for it at all. Kurotsuki was thinking along the same line. Genma chuckled as both Teiwa and Kurotsuki jumped back to create some distance between them and Naruto. He scratched his imaginary beard. "Show match decided be the third Hokage. Starts now," he announced to the audience. With an evil smile, Naruto stared at Teiwa. "If I win, you'll have to show me your panties, Teiwa-chan," dragging out the Chan-A-10. Teiwa glared at him while Kurotsuki tried to cover her privates with her hands as if Naruto could see through her clothes. "Pervert," Kurotsuki said, pointing at him accusingly. "Don't let him get to you. The shithead is just trying to make us lose our fucking focus," Teiwa told Kurotsuki, who nodded back to her. "Yo-ho-ho." Naruto laughed quickly as he unsealed his sword from a scroll. He held it in his right hand, pointing it at them. With his left hand he motioned for them to come at him. "Come on then, ladies, show me what you got," Naruto said confidently. Then he laughed as he realized what he just said could have a double meaning. Oh-ho-ho. Both Teiwa and Kurotsuki didn't like the sound of that disgusting gaunt perverted laugh. Kurotsuki acted first as she started floating in the air while performing the seals for an earth-style technique. At the same time, Teiwa ran at Naruto with impressive speed, charging a Rasengan in her right hand. Several large debris-like boulders fell from the sky above Naruto, which he swiftly avoided with a shunshin. Next he had to deal with Teiwa, who was charging him with a Rasengan. He came up with a brilliant plan on the spot, to take them both out in one move. "Hanada Sancho," Naruto spoke, which almost had Teiwa stop running, but she kept moving, reaching her hand forward towards Naruto. Next thing she knows, she felt Naruto next to her and something cut her. Yahazu Giri 3 verse humming, arrow notch / everyone could clearly see how Teiwa's and Kurotsuki's pants slowly tore apart as Naruto reappeared a bit behind them. Kurotsuki's white panties with a teddy bear on them and Teiwa's red panties with black Uzumaki swirls on them was something everyone could clearly see now. Both girls had similar reactions as they tried to cover their lower parts with both hands and crossing their legs. Kaya. They both screamed before running towards the stairs that would take them out of the arena. "We'll get you for this shithead / namikaze scum," they yelled just before leaving the arena. She. Naruto laughed. "My win." He raised his right hand up in victory. A few men in the audience started to slowly clap their hands, unsure if they were supposed to, while the majority of the audience was staring at Naruto in disbelief and disapproval. Next thing Naruto felt was a hard fist being slammed down on the back of his head. "You shitty brat." Hiruzen yelled comically as he chased Naruto, who had started running towards the exit. "I'll kick your ass, you old monkey," Naruto shouted back at him, still running from the old man. "I would like to see you try, you degenerate." Hiruzen answered as they exited the arena. Genma cleared his throat. Ahem. That marks the end of this chuunin exams. Thanks for coming. In the afternoon, a few hours after the chuunin exams ended, all Thaganins who participated in the chuunin exams had gathered in a large room inside the Hokage Tower. All the village leaders along with Hiruzen was there as well. They were now going to reveal which ones of the participants was going to get a promotion to chuunin. The Kages and Hiruzen sat behind a long table while the genin stood in a row facing them on the floor. Nara. Shikamaru Tsunade said as they started with the ones thought get eliminated first. Shikamaru stepped forward. Even though we believe you could have shown a lot more than what you did, Tsunade said in an almost irritated tone, we think you have qualities that is fit to a leader, therefore you are promoted. Hi, Hokage-sama. Shikamaru saluted before stepping back. Next up was Niji, who was told he was not going to get promoted. After Niji it was Sasuke's turn. Tsunade stared at him with a look of pure disgust on her face, which quickly turned back into a neutral expression. You're not promoted, she simply said. Sasuke accepted that as he stepped back. He was kind of expecting to get yelled at and here for his actions in the match against Midori. Next was Haruno Sakura. It was Hiruzen who spoke this time instead of Tsunade. Sakura, I'm very impressed by how much you have grown as a ninja. You have shown great progress. You are ready to be a chuunin with a smile which looked awfully similar to Naruto's smile. Sakura stepped back. Next was Ino, who was told almost the exact same thing as Sakura, but the main difference was she did not get promoted. Honestly, she did not expect to receive a promotion either. She would get it next time though. She promised herself. Next was Midori, who had lost against Tewa. She had been allowed to join the rest here for the promotions but would have to return to the hospital as soon as it ends. Midori along with Lee, Kuratsuki and Tewa were all promoted, receiving a lot of praise. After Tewa was promoted they were all told to leave after receiving their chuunin vests. The Kages would be staying for a while longer. They had something to discuss with their next guest, Uzumaki Naruto. He now stood before the Kages alone as the genins had left. We have a mission for you, Naruto, Hiruzen began. Naruto grinned. Finally he thought before asking, who do you want me to kill? You're not killing anyone, Naruto, Tsunade said as she smiled a little, a rare sight when Naruto was anywhere nearby. Just that had Naruto become a little suspicious. Why was she smiling? This is a mission only you can do, Raikage said. It's a mission only someone with your expertise could have a hop-heat completing, Unaki added. Like they said it's a mission that only you can do, Mei said with a odd smile. Now Naruto was confused. To him it sounded like an assassination mission, but he had been told it was not. So, what's this mission that only I can do? Naruto asked. Hiruzen held up a map of a part of the elemental nations to Naruto. On the map he could clearly see Konoha marked out in a few neighboring villages. Hiruzen pointed at a spot just next to one off neighboring villages. Here you can find an old castle that has been abandoned for hundreds of years. Recently we have received reports of people visiting the castle getting attacked by an unknown person or persons. You are to search the castle for these people or any leads that could lead you to them, Hiruzen explained. It will be classed in a rank mission, Tsunade added. Naruto scratched the back of his head and thought, don't you have anything better? Something more exciting? Hiruzen ignored Naruto's question. Instead he held up a picture of an old man. This is Jin. He lives in the village closest to the castle. Find him and he will tell you more information about the castle and their scent attacks. Naruto frowned, but he walked up to Hiruzen and grabbed the picture of the old man nonetheless. Dismissed, Hiruzen said. Then Naruto disappeared in a burst of wind as he used a Shunshin point. 2 hours later Naruto had arrived at the neighboring village. He was now talking to Jin. Jin was quite easy to find as he was the only bald person in the whole village. Naruto found that funny. So, you're Jin? Naruto asked, receiving a nod as an answer. I have been told you can tell me more about the castle close to here, Naruto continued. Yes, there is much to be told about that castle. Jin began scratching his goatee beard. There are many stories told about it and its history in several villages around the area. Most of the stories area like, there is something in there that is not living. It's a haunted castle. But there has never been any proof of it being haunted, until recently when the attacks started. For several months we have had different groups of people returning from a visit of the castle. Bruised and terrified, a pale-looking Naruto was staring at Jin with a gaping mouth. Head stopped listening as soon as Jin told him the castle was haunted. Why you? Saying there is ghosts in that castle to be a. Naruto stammered, sounding terrified. Jin chuckled seeing Naruto's terrified expression. That's what the stories says, but I have no proof of it myself. Naruto turned around, his mouth open, his eyes wide. Thanks for telling me this, old man. No problem, Jin said. Then he blinked as Naruto had disappearing in a blur. Naruto quickly used the Hiraishin to get back to Konoha. He needed to call for backup or a replacement. Yes, a replacement would be better. He couldn't ask the old monkey or Haim-sama about our placement in fear of being mocked for not having the balls to arch the castle by himself. No, he would have to find a replacement himself. He immediately thought of Kurane. She was the best person to deal with ghosts as she would probably scare them more than they would scare her. But he knew if he came with this to her, she would find out about his fears and make fun of him. He thought of several other people before thinking of Kiba. Kiba was the perfect choice. He was an gullible idiot that wouldn't question the objective of the mission as soon as he heard it was an A rank. With that thought, he set off towards Kiba's home inside the Inyazuka clan compound. He knocked on the door to their home and was lucky to see that Kiba was the one to open it. Hey. Naruto, Hana isn't home if you are here to stare at her butt. Kiba greeted him. Naruto shook his head. No, I'm here to ask you to join me on Amos Zion. It's A ranked. Oh. Kiba responded in an interested tone. I'll come, man. Let me get my stuff. Naruto laughed in an evil way as he waited for Kiba to get ready for travel. Soon after that they left Konoha and headed towards the castle. Once they arrived, Naruto stopped at a safe distance and told Kiba to enter the castle and search the whole building for anything suspicious. An half hour later Kiba returned with a bored look on his face. I didn't find anything at all, Captain, Kiba reported. Naruto nodded. Then we're done here, and was about to turn around to leave the place. Wait, I think you should have a look yourself just in case, Kiba said, sounding a bit shook up. I may have missed something. Naruto stared at Kiba with a raised eyebrow. Are you saying you're not confident in your own skills to search the castle, Genin? He asked. It was also a reminder that Naruto was a Jounin and Kiba a Genin. But more importantly, Naruto had to get away from this castle without Kiba finding out that he was terrified of it. Yeah. That's it. I'm not good enough for it. You should have a look, Captain, Kiba said, sounding a little irritated. But Naruto again tried to get away from it. No, I trust your skills, Kiba. Let's head back. No, I insist, Captain. Have a look. They argued like this for another 20 minutes until Naruto found himself alone inside that castle. Curse you, Kiba, he said as he walked in a narrow hallway inside the castle. Even though the sun was still up outside, it was dark enough that Naruto had to use a torch to see anything inside the castle. After walking further down that hallway he heard a noise as if Simeon was walking behind him. Turning around fast he yelled, who goes there? He saw no one and received no answer. He was getting the chills already but kept moving. Just a few more steps after the first noise he heard what sounded like a young kid, probably a girl, singing. The singing voice came from the same spot as he had heard the footsteps from earlier. He turned around once again and yelled much louder this time. Anyone there? But once again he received no answer. Naruto's skin was paler than Orochimaru's as he kept walking down that hallway, his hands shaking, barely holding the torch up. I fucking hate ghosts, he said loudly, only to hear what sounded like the girl laughing. It was close to him, just a few steps behind him. Slowly this time he turned around to see just what he had heard. A young girl around the age of 6 smiling at him in a very, very disturbing way. Naruto jumped and screamed like the little girl he was staring at. Mommy, he wailed before using Hiraishin to get the fuck out of there. Once Naruto was gone the girl disappeared. From the walls Jiraiya appeared carrying a video camera in his hands. On his shoulders sat Hima, the female elder toad. She was a very skilled genjutsu user. I got it all on tape, Jiraiya said with a chuckle. He had been the one I thought had requested Naruto for the mission. He and the cages set this whole thing up. Shima nodded. He had this coming. The young fool. She then turned to stare at Jiraiya with an expression that looked like disgust. You're next, you disgraceful pervert. Shima then disappeared in a puff of smoke, returning to the Toad world. With Naruto and Kiba. Naruto had appeared next to Kiba after using the Hiraishin. He had turned to Kiba with tears in his eyes, snot running from his nose, and screamed, "Run, Kiba, run!" before legging it as fast as he could. Kiba, who had met Jiraiya inside that castle, couldn't hold back his slaughter as he followed his captain back to Konoha, running through hallway. 2 days had passed since the chuunin exams ended. The foreign ninjas and their leaders had all left Konoha to return to their own home villages. Today was a day Kushina had looked forward to because she was going to throw a party for Teiwa to celebrate both her promotion and her first place victory in the chuunin exam tournament. She had invited a lot of her and Teiwa's friends to the party that would be held in her and the others' home, the Uzumaki house as it was called nowadays. There was only one problem: Naruto had been missing for the last 2 days ever since he returned with Kiba from the mission the Wenten. So therefore she asked Kurane to find him, since she had the weird ability to always know where he was. Luckily Kurane had just returned home after doing some D-ranked missions with teammate. Kurane, do you know where Naruto is? Kushina asked her. Kurane sighed. He's probably at the same training grounds I found him yesterday. He was hiding inside a beer barrel mumbling about ghosts. Kushina snorted at that. He's being silly. Yes, he is. Kurane agreed. Good. You go get him for me? I want him to be here for the party, Kushina asked. Of course, Okasama. Kurane answered with a salute. As Kurane walked out the front door, she heard Kushina's irritated reply, "Don't call me that." With Naruto had spent the last 2 days drinking or sleeping. He had built a shrine of empty sake bottles at the training grounds where he died. It was the same training grounds he had used as a base before Hiruzen told him that he still had his apartment 1 year ago. It was his way to cleanse himself, to get rid of all the evil spirits that was haunting him. As Naruto was praying to the shrine he had built, he felt a hand touch his shoulder which almost had him jumping. He turned his head to see Shikamaru staring at him. Unfortunately for Kurane, Shikamaru had found Naruto first. Shikamaru was not really bothered by the fact that Naruto had his sake bottles littering in a whole training grounds or that he stank of alcohol. He was here to ask Naruto for advice. Shika? Naruto asked as he saw the younger version of Shikamaru. Hey. Naruto. Shikamaru began hesitantly. He knew already that he was going to regret asking Naruto about this later. Can I ask you something? Naruto stared at Shikamaru in confusion. Didn't he see that Naruto was busy trying to cleanse himself? He still had 2 more weeks off praying to this holy shrine he had created ahead of him. He was also confused by the fact that the man that usually has all the answers was coming to him for advice. What is it? Naruto asked. Shikamaru looked unsure and nervous as he spoke. Well, this is troublesome. During my training I met an older woman who I spent some time with. I would like to get to know her better, maybe ask her out. Shikamaru explained. The only reason he is asking Naruto about this is because everyone knows that he's dating an older woman in Kurane. Naruto grinned widely. An older woman, he asked before slapping Shikamaru on the back. I hope it's not any of my girls. Shikamaru. Sweat dropped. I doubt you have even met her. Shikamaru then sighed. I'm only asking you because I have no experience asking a girl out. I don't even know where or when I should do it. Naruto snickered at that and once again slammed his hand on Shikamaru's back, something he was visibly annoyed at as he glared at Naruto, who spoke. You don't have to be worried about asking a Bakana out. I'll help you, pal. You will. Shikamaru asked, a bit surprised that Naruto offered to help him. Naruto nodded with a friendly smile. Let's go find her. I will tell you what to do on the way there. Tabia. 15 minutes later, Kurane was surprised when she arrived at the training grounds Naruto had occupied for 2 days. He wasn't there anymore. She had tried many times to get him to leave the training grounds during the past 2 days. But Kurane was not one to give up. Her next stop was Ichiraku Ramen. Meanwhile, Shikamaru had led Naruto to the very same spot he had first met the woman. It was in a park where she liked to eat her lunch at lunch break. Both Shikamaru and Naruto was in a place where they could see her, but she had yet to notice them. Shikamaru nodded towards her as to tell Naruto that was the woman he meant. When Naruto saw her, he thought she looked familiar somehow. He was also sure that he had no idea who she was. She was a fair-skinned woman with shoulder-length blonde hair with a single bang which falls down into her face. She also has greenies and wears a white kipeo dress. Naruto hummed and thought, well, go on then. He then told Shikamaru, I don't know about this. Are you sure this will work? Shikamaru asked. Naruto frowned a little, annoyed by the fact that Shikamaru had questioned his way several times now. You came asking me for help and I told you what to do. Stop question me, fool. Sorry, Shikamaru said, nursing his forehead. I will give it a shot. Hathan began walking towards the bench the woman sat on, eating her homemade sandwiches. Once he stood in front of the bench, he waved at her and gave her a smile. Hello, Miss Mabuki. Troublesome. The woman smiled as she looked up from her sandwich and saw Shikamaru. She thought she should correct him. She was in fact a Ms. Mabuki, not a miss, but she decided not to. It's not like it mattered. Hi, Shikamaru-kun. Are you joining me for lunch today again? Shasked. Not today, Shikamaru said as he started sweating a bit. He turned his head to look at Naruto as if trying to get confirmation to go ahead, which he got by Naruto's dumb smile and a thumbs up. Miss Mabuki, Shikamaru yelled as he bent his back as if to beg. It's troublesome to ask, but would you mind showing me your panties? Shikamaru shouted. Luckily for him and Mabuki, it was only the man Naruto who was hiding in the park. Mabuki responded by standing up, then stomping over towards Shikamaru and slapped his face hard with an open palm. She then stomped off back to work, muttering, I thought better of you, Shikamaru, you pervert. Shikamaru stared at Mabuki's leaving form in sadness. Why the hell had Naruto told him to do this? He wondered. Naruto appeared next to Shikamaru with a grin. You just hit first base, he said. How is that first base? She slapped me and she surely wants nothing to do with me after that, Shikamaru growled. Baka. Naruto said with a chuckle, just follow my instructions and everything will work out. Shikamaru was about to question Naruto more, but since Kurane had finally found Naruto, he didn't get a chance. Kurane had used Ashunshin to get next to them. She then dragged Naruto by his ear away from the park. What the hell, Anna? Naruto cried loudly. Shush. You, I don't want to hear any more ghost stories, Kurane responded. Let go off my ear, you she-devil. Naruto yelled loud enough for most of the village to hear. It didn't make the pain go away, it just made it worse, far worse. Shikamaru laughed at Naruto, thinking heads of that treatment and worse. Shikamaru knew already where Kurane was taking Naruto. He of course had been invited to the party as well. After that, Kurane made herself ready and forced Naruto to get himself ready for the party. Kurane had put on a dark red dress that hugged her body. The dress showed off a lot of her legs as it reached down to her thighs. Naruto had put on a pair of blue jeans and a white shirt as Kurane had forbid him to wear his regular blue tracksuit. After dressing themselves, they went downstairs where Kushina and her helper Karen was preparing the house for the party. When Kushina saw them, she smiled and asked Kurane to help her. She also had something she needed to discuss with Kurane in private. To Naruto, she gave a 6-pack of beer and told him that there was more of that he could enjoy while he waited for their guests. And so he did. 4 hours later, the party had started with most if not all guests having arrived. But for Naruto, the party started once Kushina gave him the beer 4 hours ago. He had yet to make to his presence known to the others as he sat in the backyard inside a large beer barrel drinking beer from smaller bottles. Since there was games to play, food and drinks to enjoy, most people at the party had forgotten about that fact that Naruto was not there. That was until Jiraiya loudly asked for him. He also declared for the whole party that he had something interesting to show them all. Moments later, Kurane came dragging in a wobbling and dizzy Naruto. That was the first time he saw all the people that attended the party. Naruto knew all of the people attending. Some would. The people at the party is Kushina, Kurane, Teiwa, Karen, Tsunade Shizoan, Mikoto, Midori, Suzuki, Kiba, Akamaru, Hanatsum, Shikamaru, Shikaku, Yoshino, Sakura, Ino, Tenten, Hanabi Hinata, Sai, Chuji, Shino, Anko, Kakashi, Asuma, Niji, Lee, Gai Jiraiya, Hiruzen, Konohamaru, Udon, Mogi, Irika, Ayamantoki. And I have probably forgotten someone. In case I did, just add them to the list. Since there was a very mixed age group, it was not really a party where alcohol was served. That didn't apply to Naruto since it kept them happy and out of trouble. There. You are brat. Jiraiya said with a loud laugh, just in time to see the highlight of this party, Ero Senin. Naruto asked in a bored tone, I don't think it's appropriate to show everyone a porno. Konohamaru turned to his grandpa and asked, Gramps, what's a porno? Hiruzen could only sigh in response, don't worry about it, I will tell you when you're older. Kushina glared at Jiraiya. You're not gonna show us anything indecent, are you? You old disgusting disgrace of a pervert. Jiraiya held up his hands in defense. Hey, that's just the brat assuming things. I'm going to show you something everyone can enjoy and laugh at. Go ahead then, Kushina said, asking him to start whatever it was he had put inside the DVD player. The clip started and showed Jiraiya dancing. Well, most of his body was covered by smokes due to the smoke bombs he had thrown for effects. When he was done with his dance, he began talking in a sing-song voice, hailing from MT Mayaboku, the first and strongest Toad Sage, the greatest womanizer this world has ever seen, the greatest hero of the elemental nations. It's me, Jiraiya Samata. Pretty much everyone had the same reaction, which was staring at the screen in disbelief. Naruto, however, was pointing at Jiraiya accusingly. The toads like me more than you. I'm also stronger than you. That makes me the strongest Toad Sage, huh? Jiraiya responded in a mocking tone. You are not even as age, you damn brat. I'll have your head, Arrow Senin. Naruto yelled, searching for his word before remembering that he did not have it on him after changing his clothes. Wait, Jiraiya said, holding up a hand to stop Naruto. The good part is just about to start now. The screen showed Jiraiya close up with Shima, the elder female toad, sitting on his shoulder. It was clear that he was inside some old-looking building built a very long time ago. What I'm going to show you all is what happens when you disrespect your elders. Thanks for the help of all the cages and my old sensei, I was able to set this whole thing up without further explanation. The scene changed to a dark hallway. Naruto stepped into the camera's view looking like he had seen better days. Naruto was alone in the hallway when suddenly he heard a noise. He turned around, said, "Who goes there?" He received no answer and kept going until he heard a child singing. Once again Naruto turned around. More forcefully this time he yelled, "Anyone there?" But saw nothing. The third time Naruto heard a noise, it was much closer. The camera had been able to somehow capture the genjutsu, showing off the little kid that smiled at Naruto in a sinister way. "Why, mommy." Naruto wailed loudly before disappearing using Hiraishin. At this point most of the people at the party was laughing out loud at what they had just seen. But the clip had not ended yet as the scene changed to Jiraiya and Shima once again. This was a prank I decided to pull on the brat after his actions at the last 2 chuunin exams. Not only did you publicly embarrass your mother in front of everyone last year, you repeated it by embarrassing my dear little Teiwa-chan and the Tsuchika's granddaughter. Jiraiya paused for a moment. "Payback's a bitch, brat," he yelled as the screen turned dark, meaning that the clip had ended. "Wahahaha." Shikamaru laughed in a for him very uncharacteristic way, pointing at the screen. "Shithead. That was so lame." Teiwa snickered at Naruto, who was red-faced as everyone did what he hated the most. They were mocking him. Everyone stared at Naruto waiting for him to say something. The only thing that came out of his mouth was a quiet whisper, "Senju," before his whole body started glowing a bright orange-yellow. The clock stood at 10 in the morning and Naruto had yet to fall asleep. Kurane and Kushina, who slept next to him, on a side each, had no trouble falling asleep after they were satisfied. That was 5 minutes ago. Naruto was exhausted, but he knew that sleep would have to wait since he felt a presence that he recognized outside his window. The person knocked on the window, which had Naruto walk up and open it, but naked. "What is it, old monkey?" Hiruzen held his nose as soon as Naruto opened the window. "Damn it, Naruto. You should open that window more often." Naruto chuckled in response, which had Hiruzen frown. Yeah, the old man recognized the smell. "First, sorry about the whole ghost thing. I realize we were out offline," Hiruzen said with a grin while Naruto glared at him. "I have a new assignment for you," Hiruzen continued, then has smelled the air from the room again. "I need you to come with me after you take a shower." Naruto nodded. Sure, he was tired, but this was hardly the first time he had skipped out on sleep. "Meet me at my house in 20 minutes, Hiruzen said before Naruto closed the window in his face. 40 minutes later, after showering and dressing himself, Naruto had restored his energy by drinking 2 large barrels of sake. He had now just arrived at Hiruzen's home at the Sarutobi clan compound. "You're late," Hiruzen said in an annoyed tone once he noticed Naruto had arrived. "You're old," Naruto countered. Hiruzen sighed. They could go on like this the whole day, but he had to tell Naruto his new assignment. "Sit," Hiruzen ordered, patting the porch where he currently sat staring at the goldfishes in a pond in front of him. "So, What's this assignment? Naruto asked after sitting down next to Hiruzen, who was thinking if he should ask Naruto about what he had seen earlier. Why was Kushina sleeping next to Kurane in his bed? He figured if he asked he might have to explain why that was wrong, which would be troublesome. Yes. I was about to tell you about that. You and another Jounin will be in charge of a squad made up of chuunins from all 5 great ninja villages, Hiruzen explained. Naruto was not impressed. He saw chuunins as pushovers. Who is the other Jounin? Naruto asked. Anko, your old Jounin teacher, Hiruzen said, which got Naruto's interest. Oh. Anko-chan. He asked with a wide smile, but what happens to my old team then? Will they have another teacher? Hiruzen shook his head. I will get to that later. First I will tell you who both chuunins are that you will be in charge of. First the Konoha chuunins, Teiwa and Midori, along with a genin from Konoha, Hanabi. From Kumoto Kunoichi by the name of Samui, and Yujito. From Suna, the future Kazekige's older sister, to marry. From Iwa, Tetsuchikige's granddaughter, Kuratsuke, and lastly from Kiri, your old partner in crime. Shijiro. Naruto imagined how it would be to go on missions with this group of people. Midori and Hanabi fighting like usual, Samui flirting with him non-stop, Yujito glaring at Samui, Kuratsuke challenging him to a fight, Anko being too sexy for her own good, Tamari staring at him lovingly while holding a newspaper with an article about him on it. Teiwa yelling at him as if everything is his fault, while Shijiro is threatening to kill anyone that gets too close to him. Naruto stood up and began walking away. I'm out of here. He muttered just to feel Hiruzen's hand hold him back. This is important, Naruto. Be serious for once. Are you insane? Naruto yelled comically. Hiruzen sighed as he scratched his goatee beard. If you do this, Naruto, and you do it right, then let's say I owe you one. Naruto grinned as he saw a vision of Hiruzen cleaning his toilet just like Hiruzen had made Naruto do as punishment after a prank Aya kept. Hiruzen paying his bill at the liquor store was also an option. Good. About your old team, it is temporarily disbanded for as long as this squad is active. Sai has been sent to Team 7 to replace Teiwa, Hiruzen explained. Then he continued, it will take at least a week until all the squad members have arrived in Konoha, but until then you have the Konoha chuunins plus Kuratsuki, who is still in the village, available. Anko is currently gathering them and is heading towards the north gate. Go meet up with them and let Anko explain he mission details. I see. I have just one question, Naruto said. Then he asked, what of me, student Sakura? Or the Shika dude, or the mini beast for that matter? All of them made chuunin, Hiruzen sighed before answering. Go ask your Hokage about that. I didn't make every decision anymore. Both Sakura and Lee would stay on their genin teams for now. In the case of Naruto's and Anko squad having need of a replacement, they would be the top priority. Shikamaru would also stay, but he was also going to participate in higher-ranked missions with other chuunin and jounin as the team leader. They wanted to condition him into a leader since they see him become just as good as his father, Shikaku. Naruto stared at Hiruzen with a dumbfounded expression. Hiruzen realized his mistake, asked Tsunade about it. Whatever, you old monkey. Naruto then saluted the former Hokage, then off he went to meet up with Anko and the others. At the north gate a few minutes later, Anko had already gathered Hanabi, Teiwa, and Kuratsuki. Midori would have to skip out on this mission as the doctors still wanted her to rest. They have been standing here waiting for Naruto to arrive for about 20 minutes. When is the last person arriving? Kuratsuki asked in an annoyed tone. She, just like Teiwa and Hanabi, was unaware that their second squad leader was Naruto. Anko grinned as she answered, any second now. Just as she finished her sentence, they all felt a breeze go past them as Naruto appeared right behind Anko, using the tramp stamp seal with his Hiraishin to get there. Hello. Anko-chan, Naruto said with a grin. Shithead. Teiwa questioned before Anko could greet him back. Don't tell me he is our second squad leader. Kuratsuki yelled while Hanabi threw herself at Naruto, hugging his arm to herself. Naruto-sama. Oh, thank you for showing up. I couldn't stand listen to these commoners bitch and moan about their commoner problems any longer. Naruto's eyebrows twitched. Since when did she start doing that? Let go of me, Yamuto-san, he said in the kindest way he could muster. Anko pulled Hanabi away from Naruto. You heard him. She then threw herself at Naruto and hugged his arm to herself, getting a different reaction from Naruto. Oh ho ho, not now Anko-chan, Naruto said with a perverted leer as he stared straight at Anko's chest. Let go off him, bitch. Teiwa yelled, red-faced from anger. Kurotsuka stared at them, shaking her head. Is this the people I'm going to work with for a year? She thought. Hopefully the rest of the bunch would be different. So, what's the mission, Anko-chan? Naruto asked as Anko let him go, having teased Teiwa and Hanabi enough. It's a B-ranked mission. A group of bandits have been terrorizing villages in the northern part of the Land of Rivers. It's very likely that they have former shinobi working with them. Our mission is to deal with them either by taking them into custody or to eliminate them, Anko explained. Naruto nodded slowly. How boring, he thought. Let's head out then. Hi, Teiko. Anko said with a salute which had Naruto snap his head towards her. What? He asked. He had never expected Anko of all people to call him that. I like that name for you. It has a nice ring to it, Anko said, grinning in a very Naruto-esque way. Lead the way, Naruto-sama. Hanabi said, walking up to him with Teiwa next to her. This doesn't mean I'll let you push me around, shithead, she said, turning her head to the side, away from Naruto. I can't believe I'm gonna take orders from Minamikaze bum, Kurotsuki added as she walked up to them with her arms crossed above her chest. Naruto ignored that comment from Kurotsuki since he wanted to get going. The quicker they get this mission over with, the quicker he could go home and sleep. Later that day, evening, it had taken them all day to get to the Land of Rivers. Naruto was not exalted by that fact, since if he went alone he would have made it there in just a few hours. But he didn't have to think long about that as he found a tree to rest his back on before he fell asleep. The others was gathering around Anko as she was about to tell them what to do next. Of course she had thought that Naruto was going to listen as well, but as she heard his loud snoring she couldn't do anything but sigh in annoyance. I thought he looked tired, damn it, Kurane. Anko spoke through gritted teeth. Teiwa scoffed, having an idea of what Anko suggested Naruto had done during the night, while Kurotsuki had no idea what she talked about and Hanabi was just as confused. Well, one of the many good things about Naruto is that he can find us whenever he wants as long as we are relatively close by, Anko said as he put her hand on Teiwa's lower back and rubbed. Right, she said with a wide grin. Teiwa slapped her hand away and said, right. In angry tone, did Naruto mark every girl he knew with the hydration mark at the same spot? Teiwa had at first for some reason thought that she was the only one. 4. Now we will split into groups of 2. Teiwa and Kurotsuki will head west and search for anything that can lead us to this group of bandits. I and Hanabi will head east, Anko explained while the squad listened. Anko then gave Teiwa and Kurotsuki a kunai with Naruto's hydration mark on them. Kurotsuki grabbed the kunai with an audible tch as she wasn't exalted about holding one of the kunaus that her most hated person was famous for wielding. Anko then explained what the kunai was for. If you ever find yourselves in a dangerous situation, channel chakra into that kunai. Naruto will be there shortly after. They nodded in affirmative before they headed out in opposite directions. About an hour later, Anko and Hanabi had yet to find anything that could lead them to the bandits' hang-up. They did, however, just find a person that pointed them at the direction where Teiwa and Kurotsuki headed. So they headed west to find Teiwa and Kurotsuki to see if they had found anything. Teiwa and Kurotsuki had found what they've been searching for. Currently they are in hiding, staring at what appears to the bandits who had set up a small camp. It seems like they are celebrating something, maybe their latest crime, as they are drinking, eating, and overall it's a cheerful mode. There is one person who stands out more than the others. He's dressed in all black, wearing a face mask similar to the one Mamakai Zabuza wore when he was alive. But what makes him stand out the most is the kunai holster at to his right leg. Kunaus are generally ninja weapons, meaning that it's very likely that he is a ninja. But since he doesn't appear to be wearing a forehead protector, he could still just be an ordinary bandit who uses kunai. All in all, the amount of people in the camp came up to around 20. That was a number that Teiwa and Kurotsuki easily could deal with themselves in their opinion. Dike, let's go, Teiwa said before jumping out of hiding, doing a single hand sign for the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Don't tell me what to do, Kurotsuki snapped, but follow the redhead nonetheless. The bandits was unaware of the incoming chuunins charging them except for the masked person in the black clothes. He grabbed a kunai and threw it at Teiwa, who at the same time created around 30 clones. This had the bandits stop what they were doing and turn their attention towards the many Teiwas and the lone Kurotsuki who stood further back. Oh. What's this? One bandit said with a grin. This is just great. The only thing this party lacked was a couple of pretty girls. A large man with an even larger belly said while leering at the two kunoichi. The other bandits laughed along with him. Both Teiwa and Kurotsuka glared at them with hatred in their eyes. Everywhere they went there was pervert, but these was nothing like harmless ones such as Jiraiya. These were criminal scum who had already raped and had no problem doing it again. While they may not like what the bandits had planned for them, they were not afraid. They were trained ninja and had fought of bandits before. Bandits like these could only prey on the weak. Having lost any kind of will to hold back against the bandits, Teiwa sent in her clones. Teiwa's clones engaged the bandits who fought back using swords, axes, and daggers. Teiwa's clones had the upper hand until the masked person made his move. He used what appeared as a series of shunshin to get close to each clone to quickly take them all out by cutting them down with a kunao in hand. I'm afraid you will have to do better than a few copies of yourself to beat us, the masked man said with a chuckle. Oh, we finally get to see Ichigo in action, the large fat man said with a loud boisterous laugh. And this Ichigo has nothing to do with one from Bleach. His first name just happens to be Ichigo. Teiwa charged up a raise-non in her right hand. Let's find out if I can do better, faggot. Kurotsuka jumped next to Teiwa and did a series of hand signs. She was going to give her an opening to Chargain and defeat the masked man with the raise-non. Doton. Kaido Shokutsu, Earth Release, opening Earth Rising Excavation. Kurotsuka spoke as several large earth pillars appeared from under the ground. They erupted like a volcano, blasting the bandits away. Ichigo had been able to dodge it, but he had a harder time dodging Kurotsuka's follow-up. Yatun, Kaizukafu no Jutsu, Lava Release, Ash Stone Seal Technique. Kurotsuka spews out thick ash that wraps itself around Ichigo, disabling his movements. Teiwa didn't waste any time after that as she ran up with her raise-non and slammed it into Ichigo's stomach. Neither Teiwa or Kurotsuka was out of breath from this fight. They had the same thought and voiced it to each other. This was easy, they said at the same time. Good thing shithead fell asleep, otherwise he would have complained about it for sure, Teiwa said while snickering. Kurotsuka bent down next to Ichigo so she could search his belongings. She found a Suna forehead protector with a large cut on it, signifying that he had left his village. A missing nin from Suna, a chuunin, maybe. Kurotsuka thought out loud. We were supposed to bring them into custody. How do you suppose to transport them? Teiwa asked. Kurotsuka grinned at Teiwa as she spoke. Why don't we let that idiot handle that? She grabbed the kunao from her kunao holster, then focused chakra into it. A few seconds later Naruto appeared. Hello, okayed as if he had just woken up as he stood up staring at Teiwa with tired eyes. Time to wake up, shithead. Naruto leaned into Teiwa, bring his face close to hers, which had her blush slightly. What? She asked. Ugly. Naruto shouted loudly, which gained him a hard slap on the cheek from Teiwa. Damn it, stop calling me that. Naruto nursed his cheek, then looked around in confusion. Where am I? He asked. The mission is completed, Captain. We need you to escort the prisoners into custody, Kurotsuka said with a mock salute. Naruto started mumbling nonsense, which had both Teiwa and Kurotsuka stare at him with a raised eyebrow. Just then Anko and Hanabi had found them. What's happened here? Anko asked. Before anyone could answer her, Naruto shrugged. I'll enjoy seeing you cleaning my toilet, you damn monkey. He yelled the last part before biting his thumb. Ninpo. Cookie Yos no Jutsu. Ninja art, summoning technique. He summoned Gameiken and told him, I need your help to carry these lowlifes to the nearest police department. 2 barrels. Gameiken responded. Naruto pointed at him with a twitch in his eyebrow, which had Gameiken sigh. 1 barrel. Naruto smiled. You got yourself a deal. Naruto then turned to his squad members, load them up and then let's get the fuck out of here. He really wanted to get back fast so he could sleep. Did they give you any trouble? Anko asked Teiwa, who shook her head. No, they did have one ninja among them, but me and the Dike had no problem defeating him. Anko nodded with a smile and patted Teiwa on her shoulder. Good job, Teiwa-chan. Teiwa blushed. Your praise doesn't make me happy or anything, she said as she turned away from Anko. All I'm saying is, where is the fun if there is no panties to remove in the first place? Naruto's loud voice was heard as he rode on top of Gameiken's head. Naruto Gaki, I may be a bit ungraceful, but I save an awful amount of time not having to deal with the tangy mess that you humans call panties. You're an idiot, Gammaken, Naruto said with a frown. Ditto. Gammaken responded. So, what's the latest dirt on Gamahiro and Boss Boontab? Gammaken chuckled. Crack open a beer for me and I'll tell you. The girls had in the meantime loaded up all the bandits and Ichigo the back of Gammaken. They now sat next to Naruto on top of Gamaken's head, listening to their conversation with different reactions to it. Teiwa was glaring at Naruto's back with a twitch on her forehead. Anko was sweat dropping while Kuratsuki ignored them in favor of looking through one of the bingo books she had received from Tsunade earlier. She was trying to find Ichigo in it. Hanabi was back to hugging Naruto's arm to herself as she sat to his right, enjoying the banter between Naruto-sama and his old friend Toad. After that, Gammaken got going. He got about 200 meters before he stopped as person stood before them. He wore the Akatsuki robes and a straw hat, both covering most of his face but not his eyes. His Sharingan eyes. Uchiha. Itachi. Anko almost yelled in surprise. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he stared at Itachi. Didn't expect to see you so soon, you lousy Uchiha. We need to talk. Itachi spoke in a calm, emotionless tone which changed into an almost playful one. You booze-reeking Senju trash.